All right, I think we're live. Hopefully so. If you guys can hear me, what's going on, everybody? How's it going? Glad to be back after only 8 days. How about that? What's going on, everybody? How's it going? Justin, Dreamliner Fan 2016, Aviation LAS, Anthony, Steven, Harry. How's it going, everybody? MCI. How's it going, guys? I don't know if you guys can hear music. Let me know if you guys can. I don't know. I'm still working with some software stuff, so let me know if you guys can hear it. Cat is here, and Cat is doing well. Cat is hanging out. Absolutely. What's going on, guys? How's it going? Getting it rolling for today. Got a big live stream ahead. It's going to be a good one. Glad to hear about Janet. That's really nice. Glad to hear that. Let me know if you guys can hear the background music. I'm not sure if it's picking up or not. I'm assuming probably not, but it might be. Let me know if it is. If not, I will start working on that. And it looks like the chat is working too, which is good. Okay, yeah, it just started working. Cool. What's going on, guys? How's it going? Yeah, all is well over here. Will not be VAT Sim today. I'll explain why momentarily. No background music. Thank you for letting me know. Glad to hear. Glad to hear. Everybody's doing well. Excellent. Sweet. I'm going to see if I can mess around and get this background audio to work. I would like it to, but I'm not going to promise anything. Let's see here. I'm at least going to try. I probably should have had this ready, but feel free to tell me how's it going, everybody. Actually, I think this is going to work. Let's see. And let me turn that back on. And let me know if you guys can hear it. Let's give that a try. How's it? Can you guys hear anything now? What's going on, everybody? What is going on? Sorry, this is my first time doing all this on Mac, so I'm still getting everything put together here. But great live stream in store for you guys today. I hope you guys are excited for it. But yeah, big live stream ahead today. We'll get started momentarily. If anybody has any upfront questions, feel free to go ahead. But we got a great live stream ahead for you guys today. It's going to be awesome. Lots of discussion and applicable content to discuss today. Well, I have everything working if you guys can hear it. I'm assuming probably not. We may have to just go without it today, but I'll be working on that in the meantime. There's playback speed, but I need loop. Oh, there's loop. There it is right there. Cool. Let me know if you guys can hear it. If not, then I'll keep working on it. But yeah, how's it going, everybody? Awesome, Dreamliner Fan 2016. Glad to hear that you guys can, or glad to know that you guys are doing well. I didn't mean to say here, but trying to get this audio to work. What's going on, Delta Aviation 123? Yeah, feel free if you guys have any questions, but without any further delay here in a moment, we're going to get started. Today we're going to be talking about a really fun topic, the introduction into flight training for the private pilot's license, what everything's all about, going over the basics and plenty of fundamentals for you guys today. It's going to be good. We're going to be doing some, half of it will probably be discussion, just going through how everything starts, even though I know that you guys want to fly and I do too. There's still plenty of applicable information that we need to go over because this is what flight training is all about and these elements can't be overlooked, and I want to give you guys the most transparent experience as well. Very nice, Justin. Very nice. Feel free to, again, any questions, feel free to go ahead. But we'll get started here in a moment. Momentarily. But yeah, any questions? Any questions before we get started or anything else you guys like to say? I don't know if the audio is working or not. I hope it is, but I can't. It's not really showing a level. Again, I've not ever been on Mac for this, so I'm not completely sure on that. I think connection is good, though, which is solid, so... Any questions? Any questions? Nice, Aviation LAS. Nice. All right, if we don't have any questions... Okay, I'm glad to hear that it's working. Sweet. I'm glad I got that working. Okay. Let me know if you guys want me to change the song. I'll try to change it every 15 minutes or so. But, yeah, if we don't have any questions, feel free to ask at any time. But we're going to get started with the private pilot training. So, again, this is a big topic. There's a ton to talk about. I may end up bringing up some stuff online to reference here. But here's kind of what we're going to be breaking it down into. So, we have multiple categories here that we're going to be talking about for the private pilot's license, and I'll kind of go over those. So the first one we're going to be talking about is planning and how all this works. Then we're also going to be talking about, well, let me start over here actually with what we're going to be doing in general before I go a little bit more particular. So Here's kind of what we're going to be doing in today's live stream. So today we're going to be doing, like I said, our first flight, if you will, kind of like a mini discovery flight, but this will go more into detail about kind of some of the more basic stuff. I did make 2 videos in the past on some of these topics, so if you'd like to check that out, you're more than welcome to as well. But here's kind of what the plan is in general. So first and foremost, we're going to be having a brief and basic talk about how to get started in flight training, which we'll do here for the next 15 minutes or so, and kind of tell you guys how to get into it and all that fun stuff. Following that, then we'll be getting into our first discussion, kind of talking about what flying's all about and everything. I'll try to keep it really basic, but I do get detailed pretty often, so sorry about that, but I'll do my best there to balance that out for you guys, to help you guys here on our first flight, if you will. Then following that, we're going to be getting into, again, more discussions. Here's kind of the topics I was going to talk about. So we're going to be talking about planning and how all that works. Going to be talking about meeting and talking about the plan once you get to the flight lesson. Following that, we're going to be going over WETHMs, NOTAMs, and the I'm Safe acronym. We're going to be doing our pre-flight, which I have a video of to show you guys. Then we're going to be having our plan of action, which I have written out for today's flight. Following that, we're going to be doing, what did I write there? Checks and prep. That's what we'll be doing, so I'll show you guys a little bit about that. And then during the flight comes kind of some of the big things that we'll talk about during the plan of action will be checklists, details, and all that fun stuff. We'll be doing a debrief, and then we'll be talking about next time, which for us will be pretty soon. So this isn't meant for me to be a role CFI, if you will. This is more so just to help you guys out with my experience and share what's going on with you guys. So hopefully this will be helpful for you guys. What's going on, Syracuse Aviation? Glad to hear Aviation LAS. Pretty awesome. That's absolutely awesome. Happy early birthday to you, sir. But yeah, if you guys don't have any questions, we'll get started with kind of the basics of flight training, unless you guys have anything else you'd like to say. Again, do have 2 videos on this, so if you'd like to check it out, that came out earlier this year. Pretty detailed stuff, but we'll be going into the more general assessment of everything. Yeah, any questions, thoughts, feedback, etc.? I know the viewership may be a little bit lower just because there's some guys still in school, guys have other activities, completely understand. But making the content when we can, of course. Alrighty, if there's no further questions, we're going to be getting started. So I will be reading off quite a lot, so if I don't get back to your question immediately, I apologize. But if you have any questions, or we can kind of make this interactive, we can kind of make this like an oral. If you guys have any questions about how to get into flight training, this is a great place to start, because flight training is truly a really fun experience. While it can be hectic at times, it is truly a super fun experience and very enjoyable, to say the least. So what are any of you guys in flight training or interested in getting into flight training or anything like that? Let's have a discussion about it, because this is a good place to start. This is a good place to start. What's going on, Dave345? It's been quite some time. Thank you for saying that, and I appreciate it. I hope you've been doing good too. But if any of you guys, cannot talk, any of you guys interested in getting flight training, learning what it's about, or kind of on the edge or anything like that, this is a good place to start, because this is where I was when I started flight training. Of course, you guys know that I've been an aviation enthusiast for about 10 years now. I've always wanted to do something in the industry, and obviously pilot's kind of one of the big ones, but just looking into the career field and all the elements that go into it, it is truly a really, really cool field, and there are so many layers to it, and that's kind of how I got started. So obviously I was an enthusiast, but getting into it, of course, it was so much fun. So any questions about that? Any questions about that before we kind of go into talking about kind of some of those first steps and items like that? First couple things, of course, you'll probably end up meeting with a flight instructor of sorts, or the owner of a flight center or something like that, or however you end up planning on doing it, college, whatever the case may be, ATP, you name it. There's various ways to get into it, which is really cool. Thinking about some of the different elements, I'm sorry, this is a major thinking one. I didn't script anything out or not. I'm just going off of what is off the top of my head. But if you guys have any questions about it, feel free to ask throughout. But you'll probably meet with somebody, which usually goes pretty well. It's usually pretty good. Let's do this. Time for my ATC job, LOL. Yeah, mini kind of. I'll be doing some kind of role play of that today, kind of show you guys what's going to be going on there. But yeah, so obviously you'll end up meeting with somebody, which should go pretty well, and kind of they'll tell you like the basics of what flight training is all about, like probably a pilot's license, how much it costs, what's fun about it, all those fun items. We'll be starting up X-Plane here soon, Steven. Like I said, though, this is not how flight training works. We can't immediately get to the flight. But yeah, like I was saying though, once you get into the flight training environment, it is really cool. Once you say full in, all go, that sort of thing. Again, I talked about more in depth in previous videos, so you're welcome to go watch those for the full in-depth details. But you'll start doing some forms like I ACRA and start getting that student pilot certificate and all those fun items. Trying to think off the top of my head. I really should have made a PowerPoint or something. I'm sorry. Just trying to think off the top of my head kind of what goes into some of the first stuff for flight training. Obviously, you'll end up getting that flight center, all your documents, like your medical. Well, we'll talk about medicals and different things here in a moment. But government-issued photo ID, medical, and then you'll have your pilot certificate at some point, of course. all that fun stuff. Kind of some of the basic things for that first lesson, which is pretty solid. So all that goes pretty well, and yeah, usually leads just talks, and then you obviously get introduced to the aircraft, of course, and kind of just what the form's all about, whether it's part 61 or 40 or 141, so kind of those sort of things, if you will. So pretty good stuff right there. My sticky notes will not work on that, but yeah, that's kind of just the basics. Of course, there's more detail to it, but you get meeting all those fun items, so that usually works pretty well, and that all goes pretty smoothly. So following that, then you usually have your first flight lesson, which is what we're going to be imitating today, a little bit more in detail, of course, but there's multiple stages to flight that we'll be talking about throughout. So is there any questions like about how to get started with flight training or anything like that that you guys would like to talk about before I proceed into our next topic, which is going to be the planning, which is a huge topic. It is not easy by any means to get planning. Let me know if you guys have any questions before we get into the planning. But today's our first flight lesson, of course, 4 o'clock Central in the United States, of course. And we'll be going into all the detail because there's plenty to get started with. But I think we'll do this about once a week or so, and I'll show you guys kind of what the format's going to be as of right now, unless you guys think otherwise. But feel free to let me know if you guys have any questions, thoughts, feedback, remarks, etc. I'll also probably try to do it later in the future as well. But feel free to let me know what time works best for you guys in terms of live streams. Probably will be more the evening. That seems like when the retention's best. But I am at College Aviation 345. Correct. Affirm. Yes. But yeah, getting into the planning, of course, this is usually when you'll talk to your flight instructor and kind of plan out. Of course, you give them your schedule, then they'll give you their schedule, and you guys kind of come up with a mutual time that works well for both of you. There's different formats that people do it in. Some people only do 1 flight a week. Some people do multiple flights a week. Some people almost fly every day, which is quite incredible. I've been on both ends of the side. Like, for instance, I haven't flown almost in a month now, which is ridiculous just because of various logistic issues. But I also had multiple days in the summer where I flew 6 times or 6 days in a row, so which is pretty cool. But obviously, you'll give them your schedules and everything, which is kind of a tedious process sometimes, especially with all the events going on nowadays, which is really cool. So yeah, it's quite a tedious process, like I said, but it can be the do or die, if you will, of flight training, which is unfortunate. But once you get the planning going there, then you end up going out to the airport for the first time, which is kind of what we're imitating here. So obviously, I would walk in, sit down, and start talking to you guys because this is kind of what we're going to be doing today. So again, I'm not a perfect CFI by any means, roll CFI, if you will, or however you want to talk about that. Again, this is simply to give you guys my experience through how I was able to get this license and all those fun items and kind of simulate it to the best of my ability. So obviously on that first meeting, it's really cool. You'll probably, like I said, end up doing a first meeting, if you will, to kind of get introduced to the fleet, all the documents and all those fun items. End up getting whatever you need there, any study material, all that fun stuff, the books, all that. So once you get in for that first flight lesson, of course, I don't think I ended up doing any ground before. So again, this is quote unquote the discovery flight, but there's going to be a little bit more detail that we'll be going into because some of you guys already know what that is and everything. So yeah, all good, Aviation 345, and feel free to multitask or however you guys need to do. I know that you guys are super busy, so do what you guys need to do, 100%, absolutely. So once you get there for the first flight lesson, it's really a bunch of fun. So obviously it's a bunch of listening. So I'll kind of just talk you guys through what the first flight is like. And we're going to be going very detailed on everything this time because this is the first time you guys are going to be seeing it. It is a very long process, but it's a really good one as well. Once you get the flow going, once you get the details going, it really turns into a fun experience. So obviously you'd meet somewhere, probably in a room or something like that, lounge, whatever the case may be, for that first flight lesson. So you probably end up going into that certified flight instructor's office or something along those lines, or end up meeting to kind of talk. And everybody has a different style, keep in mind. I'm not here to imitate one style or another, but just giving you guys a brief understanding of how this process works. So going in there, of course, you'll be talking about the plan of action, which is kind of one of the big things there to start with. So there's multiple layers to start that flight lesson, kind of talk about everything. So pretty much where it would start would be like, how's your day going? How you doing? So feel free to tell me guys how you're doing today. We'll make this an interactive conversation, make it as fun as possible. 100%. But sorry, it's been a while since I've live streamed and did everything live, especially after doing so many narrated items and screwing up. It's pretty common. So, but once you got in there, you'd say how your day's going and everything and just get started with the lesson. So pretty much what we'll be doing today, like I said, is we'll be doing kind of a simulated discovery flight, but we have multiple tactics on hand, which is going to be the plan for today that we're going to be assessing in their full details. Let me get a different song going for a different vibe here. Stand by, y'all. because this is going to be a good process. So I said process. Let's do the process. Oh, I didn't mean to play it out. I didn't mean to play it over that one. Excuse me, guys. Sorry about that. But a really good process at hand. Sorry, I wish that this was a little bit easier set up, but what can I say? There we go. If I pause that, pull up this one, bring it back down to here-ish, and there we go. Okay. So like I said, you get in there, do all those fun items, and start talking about how the day's going, and then you start with the actual lesson, of course, which starts with kind of talking about what's going on and kind of what the plan of the action is for today, unless if it was already scheduled, of course. So you'd walk in, get all those items going, and then you'd start, let's see here, what's the first thing? Talk about the plan. So like I said, the plan for today is going to be a mini discovery flight. We're going to be going over various items, which we'll talk about in the plan, or plan of action, or POA for short, and kind of talk about all those items that we're going to be talking about today. Okay. So the first place that really everything starts is weathers, NOTAMs, and I'm safe. So these are three really big topics that pretty much the purpose of all three of these is for safety, of course. They're all really big items to go over, and I'm going to be talking to you guys through each and every one of them, which is going to be very helpful. So also, guys, anything unrelated I am not going to address during this process because this is meant to be more of a walkthrough rather than a Q&A discussion. If you guys want to do Q&A live streams in the future, I'm more than happy to do that, and let me know if that's majority wanted, and we'll do that instead. But I will, due to the purposes for people that want this to be an educational and informative experience, I will be focusing predominantly on these topics. Okay, awesome. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to pull up the I'm Safe acronym for you guys so I can show you guys what goes on here because this is kind of the biggest place to start. So let me bring over my Google here and we'll start with the I'm Safe checklist. So the I'm Safe checklist, this is a good one right here. The I'm Safe checklist is a big checklist to make sure that you're safe. It sounds exactly like what it is. And feel free to ask questions throughout, of course. But this is where we're going to be starting with the I'm Safe checklist. So this is the first thing that I usually always like to go over. And this is a very big checklist because you want to make sure that you're safe for flights. So let's talk about each and every one of these through detail. So this is done before every flight. So let's go over the I'm Safe checklist. So beginning with I'm Safe. I stands for illness. So obviously if you're feeling ill, not feeling good, I've had plenty of this myself. You would say that, and that's kind of a, it could be a hazard for flight, of course. So if you guys are feeling good, make sure that you guys are ready to watch this. Intent focus, all that. Well, not intent focus, of course, but you know, pretty good focus. That's kind of where that falls. So, but making sure that you feel good and not sick by any means. So that's what the I means. In for medication, that makes sure, like it says, any prescription or over-the-counter drugs, make sure that nothing's going to make adverse side effects, during flight, because obviously this is more of a way down the line topic. But with human factors, medication can actually affect multiple, not symptoms, but like different parts of the body, and therefore lead to causing adverse side effects. I'm sorry. It's weird for me to be behind here because usually I'm not the one doing all this talking. So I usually talk about model airplanes and whatnot. But nevertheless, that's what medication is, and make sure that you've had no medication. So if you do medication, typically the FAA or Federal Aviation Administration says that it's best to not fly with any medication, but there are some exceptions. But definitely look into that. Ask a certified flight instructor. I'm not the person to ask on that, but make sure that's approved before doing that. And then stress. Stress is a big one, of course. You can always put it in the back burner, but it's always something to really think about and assess. So am I psychologically pressured from the job, worried about financial matters, health problems, or family discord, etc.? So there's various pressures that could be there. Well, there's also external pressures as well, but stress is something that kind of gets imposed on yourself. There's multiple types of stress and everything, but just try to be as collective as possible and try to put that on the back burner. I know that life, especially in 2022, can be very stressful at any given time. Oh crap, I didn't even share my screen. I am so sorry, guys. That was completely my fault. There we go. Now you guys can see what I'm talking about. Well, hopefully I did the best verbal description I could of that. Make sure I didn't miss anything in the checklist. Yes, safety is all about aviation. I know that you guys want to fly and everything, but this is what the logistics of life is. This is what we start with first, and this is kind of just how it works. So I'm sorry, but that's kind of where it goes. So, and again, sorry that I didn't have this on the screen, but you guys can see IMS. So make sure that you're not stressed out. Make sure you got it all on the back burner, all those fun items. Alcohol, of course, there's a rule that the FAA has for 8 hours or 0.04% of your blood filled with alcohol. No flying from there, but again, it's one of those deals that you have to evaluate, and then you can look into the regulation, everything on that as well. I personally don't do any alcohol, so there we go. Doesn't really matter for me, but I know for some people it does, so there you go. Fatigue, you want to make sure you're adequately rested. Personally, I sleep 8 to 9 hours at night. I know a lot of people are less than that. That's perfectly fine, but I would recommend getting adequate sleep because it really does impair your judgment and various other human factors that could contribute to bad flight. So I highly recommend to be rested. Last but certainly not least, personally, I use 2 E's, but this one only has 1. But eating and external pressures. So for eating, of course, want to make sure that you're adequately fed or nourished, as they used right here. I just want to make sure you had a good lunch, good dinner, good breakfast, or whatever the case may be, because obviously if you're thinking about being hungry the whole time, it's obviously not going to go very well. So definitely want to make sure that you're fed and all those fun items, and then you'll be good to go from there. And then last but certainly not least, external pressures. This is something that you can't control. Like, for instance, there's multiple external pressures, and I got asked this on stage check. But multiple external pressures can include weather. That is probably the biggest one. There's so many different weather elements that can contribute. Financial situation could be another one, just in case if something was wrong there. I'm trying to think of other. Family could be another external pressure, or a time commitment if you need to be somewhere and need the flight to go fast or something like that. There's so many external pressures, and the best thing to do is mitigate them to the best of your ability. But sometimes with like weather, it's unpredictable and something you can't control. But the good news is, if you've done everything before on the Unsafe Checklist, you can probably find a way to avoid weather or some other external pressures. So any questions about the Unsafe Checklist? Yeah, 7 to 8 hours is really good. Really, really like that. 7 to 8 hours. Welcome B767. Hope all is well. But yeah, feel free to ask any questions about the Unsafe Checklist, but we'll be evaluating this every time. So for me, if you want me to go over it, I'm not ill, feeling good today, feeling really good. Medication, don't have any, of course. Stress, no stress today, getting all my homework done, so all is well. That's a mini one if you want to call it that, but all's been good. Alcohol, I don't drink, like I said, so no alcohol for me there. Fatigue, I slept 9 hours last night, feeling really good, excited to do the stream, so we should be good. Eating, had a really good lunch, had a small snack as well because it's going to be a little bit longer, so I'm ready to go there. And external pressures, no, this is simulated, but we can make external pressures, but obviously that's not ideal. And the weather conditions are really good, as we'll talk about here in a moment. Make sure I didn't miss anything. Looks like a lot of unrelated talk, and that's fine, but we are going to be focusing on the flight, of course, like I said. So there's the Unsafe Checklist, and a very important checklist. Highly recommend doing this before every flight to make sure that nothing goes wrong. Like, even for instance, like if you had a headache the day before and took Advil, you do want to make sure that's okay before you go flying. So there's a lot of various elements that contribute to that. But yes, the Unsafe Checklist is very big. Highly recommend looking into that. Next place we're going to be going is aviationweather.gov. This website is huge to make sure that all the weather is good. So you can use various weather sources. I know ForeFlight's another big one, or even just the Weather Channel and whatnot. Highly recommend using aviationweather.gov because it's a big source. We'll learn more about these particular types of weather and everything going into the future because there is so much that contributes to them, and I'll explain it periodically throughout. But we're going to be diving into the weather. So this is their homepage, and this shows you all kinds of basic things. So lots of important talks right here, and make sure I'm not missing any messages, of course, just panning back and forth, of course. And yes, really enjoy lots of sleep, absolutely. We are not filing a flight plan because it's going to be a VFR local flight today. But we will talk about that going into the future. Good question, though. Let's start with the Sigmets. So Sigmets is a significant type of weather. We do have a... I'll keep it zoomed out a little bit because our flight's going to be taking place at Stillwater right here. In fact, I can add an overlay. I thought I could add city on here, but there's other maps, so we'll just go with this, though. Stillwater's around here. This is where we'll be doing our flight today. But there is a convective segment out here in New Mexico, and pretty much convective segment has to do with thunderstorms. We'll talk about that more in detail in a while. But long story short, if you see any of this, definitely assess it. And during this stage, when you guys are unaware about what some of these items mean, some of you guys may not, I'll be telling you guys kind of what the best thing to do. But there is no weather over here for Sigmets, so we're good to go. G-airments affect smaller aircraft, long story short. And luckily there is no G-airments, but if we go over here to Illinois, there's some icing layers, as you guys can see, and it looks like we have some pretty significant turbulence and high levels up here in the eastern United States. But as of for where we'll be flying today, there's no problems. We are on the all tab as well. We have our flight levels right here, and we are good to go. So glad to see that right there. And this is just personally how I do it. You guys are welcome to do it any way you want, but this is just what I do. Next thing we're going to be checking here is winds and temps. So I'm going to be showing you guys how pretty much the area is going to be over here in the Tulsa Oklahoma City, Dallas areas. So you can do this on forward flight as well, but pretty much the simplest way to go about this is to see how bumpy it's going to be in the sky. So as you guys can see, here's the flight levels we'll be at. We'll probably be no higher than 5,000 feet today. But as you can see in Oklahoma City, the winds are 070, so you add a 0 onto this, and right here as well at 060. Excuse me, at 06. That was my fault. I messed that up. So 06 knots, and then 100 at 14 for Tulsa. Hybrid to Stillwater would be like 085 at 10 knots. So pretty good day right here. Liking that. Winds out of the southeast, looking pretty good there. What's going on, Aviation MCO? Hope you're doing well. Yes, Aviation Weather is awesome, as you guys can see. But yes, pretty smooth day over here, looking really good. And at higher altitudes, it also gives you the temperature. So here's plus 17 Celsius, still pretty warm, even though it's fall already. Plus 14 Celsius, so we're looking good. And it looks like we don't even go negative yet till 18,000 feet, which is pretty impressive. So good stuff there, looking really good. Prognized Charts. This is going to give us details about all the weather, and this time it's kind of going to be interesting because we have a lot going on here. So let's talk about it. So I could also bring up a sky chart to show you guys this too, so we can see. But pretty much there's warm and cold fronts and various elements that will make the prognostic chart. But this is pretty much just telling pilots what's going on. So as you guys can see, this is valid for right now. This is a little bit of a cold front coming through right here, as you guys can see down here. But obviously cold air mass coming through, and then a little bit of a warm fleck back onto a cold front right here. So as you guys can see, cold and warm, all those fun items. Here's a big time warm front right here blasting through to the east. And then over here we got some different items as well. Big cold front right here. Really nice stationary front. We'll talk about what that is. Pretty much a cold and a warm front. It's because of a big item right here. You don't see this one on here every day. But Hurricane Ian, of course, making its way through Florida. All thoughts and prayers to anybody being affected by that right now. Very sad indeed. But of course, the prognostic chart unfortunately does have to show those unfortunate details at the very least. There's plenty of details throughout here as well, but we'll be doing a ground lesson on that here in the future if you guys would like to see that. Therefore, we don't need to go into this. Besides, we do know that there's a little bit of a warm front where we'll be flying right on there. So looking pretty good there. Make sure we don't have any additional questions. Of course, Alex, absolutely. 100%. You're most certainly welcome. Like I said earlier, any off-topic questions to the stream will be asked, could be discussed at a different time. Yes, there is an included front right here, of course. Looks kind of odd right here on the back right side, but this is an included front right here. We don't have anything else in the U.S., but we probably could skip ahead and try to find an included front that looks a little bit clearer in reference to the included front. Here's a really good example of one right here. Included fronts are pretty cool systems, of course. You don't really see them every day, but there's a pretty good example of one with some precipitation right here in the northwest region. So pretty good stuff right here as the warm front powers through and this cold front caught up. So that's what happened there. But of course, we'll talk about them more in detail. But Citrus can kind of be my backhand man as he knows some of these items for this. Okay, so following that, we'll move on to aircraft reps. So this is any rep that a pilot can make in flight. So as you guys can see right here, there's multiple over here. I don't know what's going on over here today. Normally you don't see this many, but you can kind of click on them, and there's a lot of detail to these. We'll talk about these more in a minute, but pretty much long story short, there's a Cessna 150 right here that reported sky cover base at 60,000 with scattered clouds. And that looks to be the big one out of that one. And you guys can obviously go on here at any time and take a look at these. But sky base for this one as well. This was done by a Gulfstream 280. Very nice. And then over here in Pennsylvania, southwestern Pennsylvania, there was a Piper 32 that recorded cloud bases at 40,000. So quite a few clouds over here. Actually, I do want to go back to that prog chart because I forgot to mention one thing about that. So high and low pressure systems are also a really big topic. Low pressure systems usually contribute to worse weather. High pressure systems usually have really good weather. So here's kind of a prediction. I'm going to pull up a cloud chart, kind of see what we're doing here. There's probably going to be quite a few clouds over here. It's possible, but there may not be. But expect quite a few clouds over here. This region right here is going to have quite a bit of sun. So expect clear skies right here when I pull this up. And then, of course, the hurricanes obstructing some of the views over here. But there should be some clear skies over here. There probably is going to be some clouds right here, though. So I'm going to actually bring up a cloud chart here, and we're going to take a look at the weather over here and put it on conjugate United States to the east so I can show you guys the full view. They do have this on aviationweather.gov, as we'll see, but here's all that sun that I was referencing earlier. That's the cold front right there. It's causing some of those clouds. The hurricane, of course, is blasting through. Prayers once again to everybody being involved on that. And then there are some clouds with that low pressure system in the frost there as well. Okay. Yeah, Citrus, feel free to add some applicable detail there. Just was being pretty general because these are big topics, of course. But feel free to add in some commentary. I appreciate it. And welcome Aviation, or ORD Aviation, excuse me. Lots of aviations. Okay, so looking good there. We'll take it into the Metars. This is a very helpful source of information. And we're going to be taking a look at the Stillwater Regional Airport METAR, or KSWO. I will show you guys some bigger METARs here in just a moment, kind of show you guys some different details as well. But pretty much a METAR is a current weather observation that is done from the surface and gives you guys the weather at a select place. So at the Stillwater Regional Airport, this was observed on the 28th day of September at 2053 Zulu. We're currently -5 for CDT time. Of course, it's 4:30 right here, as you guys can see by my clock. But this was done 5 hours ahead. Of course, this is done in, I think it's the United Kingdom or somewhere there by the UK that has that, whatever the line is in it that they call Zulu time. Variable winds at 6 knots. You got 10 statute miles for visibility, which is good. We'll talk about cloud clearance requirements and everything here in a moment. Clear skies, temperature 33 degrees Celsius, which is like 92 or somewhere in there. Dew point, I'm sorry, of 8 degrees. Pretty big gap right there. We'll talk about that more in weather theory later on. Altimeter is 3017. It remarks this is automated METAR. Sea level pressure is 202. Oh my goodness. The precise temperature is 32.8 degrees Celsius and 7.8 for dew point, and of course the number there at the end. Big time stuff. So looking good there on the METAR, and this is a good METAR. And what a TAF is, a thermal advisory forecast. This goes into the details of what the weather's going to be in the future. I'll briefly tell you guys how to read one of these real quick. So on the 29th day at 1200 Zulu, this is going to be 7 a.m. for us. It's going to be winds 150 at 12 knots, gusting 16 knots, a little much, but not too bad. Better than 6 statute miles of visibility, and sky conditions clear, so we're still looking good weather for the moment. Make sure I wasn't missing anything. Cool. Feel free to ask any questions, too. I'm always happy to answer, and Citrus is also kind of going to be my backhand man. Like I said, I appreciate you, Citrus. And yeah, he will give you guys some more applicable details in the chat format. Really appreciate it, Citrus. Thank you, man. Into some next up, and we'll talk about this more in detail in a minute. This is the graphical view. It is cool to see like what's going on over here. So, okay, as you can see, there's that big, was that a warm front over there? I think that's what that was. I'm pretty sure. Let me see here. No, I wasn't trying to do that. Sorry. Let me go over here to Aviation Weather. Sorry, guys, I was trying to pull up. See, because you guys can see all the wind right here off the socks right here. That was my first observation. I think there might be a little bit of a warm front over there. Let me take a look. And lo and behold, there is a little bit of a stationary front causing that wind to shift direction back to north, but we're kind of out of the south-southeast over here today. Plenty of examples. You want to see some big-time wind. Yikes. That is bad. That is bad news bears right there. Do not fly in this region right now. Okay. Anyways, back onto radar. This is going to show us all the rain in the area, and there's a perfect example of what rain looks like. This is pretty much just like your My Radar, or if you use the Weather Channel radar or anything like that. So there's some significant rain. They have it on the dBz scale for this. And as you guys can see, it's pouring into inland. Prayers to everybody involved. That is very sad. I can only imagine what it would be like to be like that right now. So, but of course, a little bit of rain out here, as you guys saw from that convective segment. So we'll be staying away from that. But as you guys can see, a little bit of stuff over here in the Kansas City area, but nothing near our area. Yay, very nice. And lastly, the satellite's going to show you the clouds that I was referencing earlier. So here's that high pressure system once again over here. Just a couple of cirrus clouds off that because the dew point is still pretty low considering how far the temperature is off. Here's the hurricane. Prayers once again, and then those clouds from the rain, and then there's those low pressure systems developing some clouds. We'll talk about how clouds develop in the future. The last thing I like to use is the Geographical Forecast tool, which is really helpful. So you can put different things on here at different times. So for instance, if you want to see what the visibility is like, there you go. If you want to see what the clouds are like, there you go. If you want to see what precipitation chances are, there you go. We have a lot of it over there. Thunderstorms, there you go. Winds. This shows you guys some winds at different levels as well. Low level wind shear, turbulence, icing, you name it. This is really helpful for various reasons, as we'll talk about here more in the future. So that's our weather. I know it took some time, but it is really helpful to go over these items and make sure that we're staying safe. That's the number one priority in aviation, as we'll talk about in a moment. More in a moment, excuse me. Yeah, enjoy your trip. Yes, it is a really good website. It has so much applicable detail. I highly recommend using it. And it is just really good in general. I really like it. So, really good right here with aviationweather.gov. The next website we're going to be looking at is nodems.faa, I think it is. But NOTAM's FAA is pretty much what you're going to Google here, and the NOTAM search right here on nodems.faa.gov. So what this is going to do is notices the airmen. So this is going to give you all the applicable detail for select airports. So whatever airports you're going to be at is what we're going to test. Stillwater is a pretty good example of some common NOTAMs. So we're going to be going to the Stillwater Regional Airport here. I'm going to be showing you guys what kind of NOTAMs that we have in store. So yes, this looks like a bunch of gibberish right now, I know, but I'll kind of teach you guys how to read it. So there's various IFR ones that aren't really applicable to what we're doing, so I am going to skip over those for the moment. But at the moment, as you guys can see, there are multiple. So altimeter, as you guys can see, this started on January 19, 2022, and will end on 2024. But it's talking about the altimeter unreliable. There is a little bit of a hack. You can go on here and go to plain language. Well, that one's not plain language, but this one will be right here. This one's a little bit more, kind of more standard, if you will. That's the word I'm looking for. From September 27th, this is new since I've looked. This came on here yesterday. January of 2023. There were only 3.5 distance remaining sign lights are inoperative or out of service. Yes. So the plain language right here, you can see what's going on. So that's unfortunate because I'm sure I'll do some night flying at some point before then. So yes, lights are out of service, unfortunately, and that also goes for the end lights as well are out of service. And the distance remaining signs from 1.7 are also out of service. So that's very unfortunate. And then, of course, you can see all the applicable dates and everything. Going through these, aprons closed over here. This won't be effective for the simulator, of course, but we can kind of treat them like you are. And you can also go on your airport diagram and knock out some stuff, and I'll show you guys that a little bit more in detail here in a minute. Looks like here, 10,000-pound planes are out on the airports. That's unfortunate. That's really interesting. For a... apron is, excuse me, there we go. Observation tower there, and I'm not reading these the best. I apologize. Some of these are a little bit harder, and I'm still getting used to, especially the IFR ones. But obstruction tower light is that northeast by 7.2 nautical miles. Is what we have going there, and you guys can read the dates and of course everything. I've already seen all these, or I wouldn't be kind of scanning through them. But looking back through, of course, more towers. Just make sure you know where they are. Be on the lookout for them. Nav ILS 17 blank lights. There we go. So as you guys can see, not the MDB landing system is out of service. So that's really unfortunate for IFR. Another observation tower is 310 feet tall, 9.2 nautical miles to the east-southeast. And Hangar 1's ramp is closed in select portions as well. I've already seen those, or I would go more in detail about those. And Citrus getting after that as well. Appreciate it. So, there's all the NOTAMs. We're looking good. Of course, you can check other airports if you guys want to see something unbelievably ridiculous. Let's take a look at O'Hare, and I thought it was going to be worse. Yeah, there you go. As you guys can see, it never ends with the NOTAMs for O'Hare. But, yeah, there's quite a lot going on in O'Hare, as you guys can see. Okay, so that's NOTAMs. Just make sure that you're aware. Plain language is really helpful, and your instructor will teach you how to kind of go over these and assess them. That's weather's NOTAMs I'm safe. Make sure to do them because they're really, really important. So now we're going to be going out for the pre-flight. I'm going to be showing you guys actually a video that I was fortunate enough to be able to record on a Tomahawk as well. So what I'm going to be doing here is kind of talking through it. I mean, the video talks through it really well. The video is just a little long. I think it's like 20 minutes. I probably won't show the full thing, but I will kind of go into applicable detail throughout it as well. Okay, let me see if I can get this pulled up here, and then I'll show you guys what we're going to be doing here. Okay, here we go. So here we go with the pre-flight. So pre-flight's very applicable. I'll just make it full screen here for reference. And you'll hear some audio in the background, but I'll kind of talk you guys through everything. So, of course, you'll walk out to your airplane. You've probably seen it before, know a little bit of detail about it, and I'll show you guys kind of how everything works. But this is really cool because I could have did this in the simulator, but like I said, I was fortunate enough to get the GoPro video it. So let me show you guys this. Oh, sorry, that was a little loud right there. I'll keep it lower. But here we go with the initial checklist. So let me pull up the checklist on the screen, actually. Sorry, because I have the checklist here for you guys. This is the Piper Tomahawk checklist, as you guys can see right here. The Piper Tomahawk checklist is very helpful, and it really helps make sure that we don't miss any items. So, of course, I know it's not the best picture. Feel free to Google it if you'd like a better one to go along simultaneously with this. But pretty much I'll kind of talk to you guys what we're doing. So pretty much right here we're doing the big picture overwalk of the aircraft, as you guys can see, making sure that no screws are out, making sure that everything's looking good, no like flat tires or anything, none of the panels are out. And again, I'll try to keep this basic, but this is kind of hard since I'm so used to doing it. So let's go walk through it. Here we go. Stay safe, TPA App Geek. Stay safe, my guy. Making sure I was recording here, and I'll show you guys what we do. So the first thing we're doing here is the initial checklist, and I'll get my iPad out so I can walk through with you guys on that. So here's kind of some of the items, and you guys can see right here in the checklist as well. Weather density, altitude was good on that day. As you guys can see, it's clear, and as we already checked it on our checklist. Weight and balance, that's a full different topic, but pretty much your instructor will tell you if it's good or not for the first couple flights, but I'll show you guys how to do that a little bit more in detail later down the line. And then, of course, performance required. Make sure that you have the performance to be able to do it. There's charts in the POH to make sure, but we had a long runway on that day, so we're good, and we have a long one today as well. And, of course, flight plan file, we're not going to have one today because we're a VFR local flight, so we'll be good. And then papers arrow, I'll show you guys doing that on the video because it's pretty helpful. So here's the papers arrow. Seeing if I'm missing anything here in the chat. Prayers, TPA App Geek. And I'll turn it up a little bit. Okay, so pretty much what I was saying right there is there's the arrow acronym. Make sure that you have all your papers. So like I was saying, the airworthiness certificate, we'll talk about more details, but you need to make sure you have that. The registration, you need to make sure you have the certificate for that. The operating limitations, you need to make sure you have the POH for that, which is Pilot Operating Handbook. And the weight and balance, like I said, you need to make sure you have that as well. And then going through the rest of the checklist, this is kind of more physical stuff, so I'll kind of walk you guys through the video here to show you guys what we're doing. So we're going to be testing a couple things here. I'll just put the audio on. It's pretty good. Somebody got the flaps. Thanks for the suggestion, TPA App Geek. The reason that I picked just a local flight out of Stillwater since I'm really familiar with the area, and that kind of correlates back to what we're doing. But I very much appreciate the suggestion. We could probably do it on a future flight as well, for sure. But for the training environment, since I know it well, we'll do Stillwater today. So master on, lights, pitot heat. So in this case, the fuel gauge were all the way fueled, but normally they would be at 10, or it depends on the airplane, of course. But make sure you have fuel, like I said, and we'll talk about that more in risk management in the future. And there's a better view of the checklist a little bit. The audio is pretty good here. It's very applicable. Cirrus, yeah, if they didn't, couldn't only fly one day a week. I'm just kidding. They're good. And I was looking around a little bit, but this is more on the pre-flight walk around. So let me show you guys the applicable part. So this is the applicable part. So you need to make sure your nav light's on the walk around. This is the initial checklist walk around. So make sure your lights are on because you just turned them on. You're going to have your strobe, or make sure the flaps extend as well, of course. Then you're going to make sure your strobe on the right is on, which is the green, isn't it? Yep, so there's the green, so that's looking good. Following that, you're going to check your fuel gauges, which I think I forgot to do on this first walk around, but I get it, so... But you need to make sure that the fuel gauges are true, which we'll talk about here in a minute. It was an abnormal situation, I think is why I passed on initially. But like I was saying, then the lane light, make sure that's on as well. And this is different for every aircraft, please keep in mind. But this is just the example that I have a video of. So, and then stall indicator, you heard it. You pull it up right there. There you go. And then the pitot heat's down here. And then make sure the ports are clear as well. And then the strobe right there as well. And then, yeah, I'll show you guys the pre-flight from here. So I'll try to make it, I may show the whole thing since it's a really good video, but we'll see. And feel free to ask if you guys have any questions. All right. Yes, I am reading chat, and if you're referring to TPA Abgeek situation, like I said, I've prayed for him 3 times here in the chat, and I've took a look at it. So yes, I have. If you guys like me to stop the stream and talk about it, I would be more than happy to, sure. If we want to have a prayer or something for TPA Abgeek, I'm more than happy to do that. Unless you're referencing something else, then feel free to go ahead. But if that's what you're talking about, yes, you can skip back. I said it 3 or 4 times. But again, like I said, we were doing the live stream today, so... But again, feel free. You guys tell me. You guys are my fans, so more than happy to adapt. So here's where the pre-flight checklist starts, of course. So make sure your antennas are good, and I talked through it pretty well. This was a little high on the camera angle, so I apologize. But there is the pitot-static port right there. Make sure the panel's good right there. The screws. And I'll just let myself talk through it, so since I did a good job, so. But pretty much just ensuring everything is in good condition. Your instructor will kind of talk through it for different planes. Again, keep in mind this does vary per every plane, so there's different elements and different ports and whatnot that can be different per plane, but this is kind of a general principle to make sure that the plane is fully intact how it's supposed to be. Yeah, there was a little bit of bang, but I like to make sure that it's always in there good, and it's not going to hurt it as long as you're light on it, so. Tomahawk's a pretty unique design, as you guys can see. Usually not a bunch of trainers that are T-tails, so that's pretty unique about it. And I'll show you guys a good way to avoid and see the top of it a little bit more. Really good video right here. There goes Cessna in the background. Welcome AWR 1050, excuse me. Yes, everything's been well. And I'll try not to talk too much since I'm talking in this. And we will come back around and do everything on the checklist for the external summary here in a moment, but we're just going through the aircraft, make sure everything's good. First, sure, Citrus, talk about some real editing right here. Checking the ailerons right here. There's the Warrior and 100-hour maintenance. Rest in peace. Talking about the strobe light right here. Sorry, I should have pointed it more down. I thought that it needed to be more level, but I didn't really feel it. Like, my eyes are here, and obviously GoPro's here, so it needs to go like that. But you guys can kind of see what I'm talking about. But yeah, really good footage right here. Glad I was able to record this because this is really good. Yeah, good question on pre-flight check. I will pause. That's a really good question. So this can be a lengthy process at times, especially if you find multiple things wrong with the aircraft, which is always possible. I think I've had like a 45-minute pre-flight before, but typically this portion with the initial and the external summary checklist usually ranges somewhere in the ballpark of, on average, 10 to 30 minutes. But for me, usually probably about 20 minutes or so. It really just depends, but yes. I think this was like a 20-minute video, so with it being pretty elaborate. Some people go faster, some people go slower, so just depends. 10 to 30 minutes, though, is probably pretty solid. Checking the fuel gauges like I was referencing there. Here's another weight and balance example. Make sure that fuel's good, passenger's good, all those fun items. Then you got your panels here as well. Make sure they're good. Check the wing. Make sure it screws in the flaps and everything that I'm referencing here. Yeah, 10 minutes. Once you get really good at it, it's probably really fair. I just like to make sure I never miss anything. You're good. I completely understand your guys' thoughts, and I was addressing all of them. And that's what I'm trying to do, be the best content creator that I can. So, once again, all prayers to everybody being affected by Hurricane. It's so sad. And you guys are most certainly in my thoughts and prayers. Each and every one of you matter very much to me. Yeah, pre-flight check, usually 10-30 minutes. I think this one was right about 20, so... But making sure the fuel vent's good here. And I am showing all this because this is a really good process. So if you guys want me to speed it up, I can. But this is a really good process. It's worth watching. So, and here's our fuel sump right here. Make sure the fuel's clear. As you guys can see, it was. GoPro did a really good job capturing this. It's a good point right there with the grass. And again, everybody has a different process. So please do bear that in mind. I'm just giving you guys what I did. So. But everything, while it is kind of general, some of it is particular too. Like, for instance, fuel sump's pretty general, but then looking at this air vent could be a little bit different for every plane. So do keep that in mind, please. For sure. Yeah, Thanksgiving missed all the time, and I'm guilty. I run through this checklist and find things I missed, especially the alternator belt. That's the worst one for me, but everybody has their different items. It is easy to miss items, 100%. So make sure your exhaust's good. Make sure nose landing gear is good here. And now it's time to dive into the engine, I believe, here in a moment. I do not have OnlyFans, absolutely not. Not something we do as an aviation channel here. Alright, here's the right side of the engine here. I'll let myself talk about it here. And yeah, just make sure that everything looks good and connected here. You don't have to turn to a mechanic, but you also don't want to just not look at it or something like that. So make sure you thoroughly assess it. It's the most critical part, just like the heart, so. I don't think I showed it very well, but next up's the oil dipstick, another big one. It can be hard here on the dipstick, but want to make sure that you got good oil. Usually every plane's different. I think ours average is 4 is good for Tomahawk. Yeah, tires can most certainly delay anything really quick. So that's the engine. Not bad. Next up is the screws into the propeller from here. No, if the questions are related to this, please ask the questions now. I would love to answer them. Unless they're unrelated, then yeah, preferably afterwards. I'm happy to answer questions afterwards, or you can DM me or anything. But if they're related to these topics, please ask now, absolutely. Again, I'm more than happy to do Q&A live streams if you guys want to see that. But again, I thought this would be enjoyable for you guys to watch. So, but we can talk about this more towards the end of the video and whatnot, so. But yeah, looking at the propeller here, putting the hand across to make sure we're looking good. And that's where that one ends. But the good news is I do have the second one. So let me pull up the second one. Stand by. And here comes the second one. Yeah, Civil Air Patrol is a group of individuals that come together, usually on an annual basis, once a week or so, to do aviation-related items. And you can look more into it on Google as well. Practical example, Citrus. Of course, I'm talking pretty well through it, so I'm kind of just letting myself do it. And I will answer this one briefly since this is a good question. I'll answer it more here in a moment as well. When you're getting your private pilot's license, or your pilot's license, how far into the mechanic aspects of your aircraft do you need to know? So yeah, you need to know like every system on the aircraft, and it's a really big topic, a very complicated one at that, as we'll talk about more throughout these videos, but or live streams, excuse me. But knowing your aircraft is critical, and you don't have to know like how every individual carburetor works, like down to the root, but you also don't. You need to know what a carburetor is, or you need to know what a cylinder is, or you need to know what a strut is, for example. So you're gonna know your aircraft really well, but you're not going to know like, okay, it's made out of this, okay, well, okay, kind of, but it's not going to be like, okay, it's 3 inches long, or whatever the case may be, like the strut is right there. That's the first thing that came to mind. Or okay, there's you'll know like, okay, there's 4 cylinders, but for instance, I'm trying to think if there's anything crazy I know about the cylinder. Like, you'll know that they're horizontally posed and whatnot, but you're not going to know that's like made, like what's on the actual inside in terms of like what exact, like, okay, so it looks like kind of like a weird L shape, but you're not going to know like, okay, what kind of bolts on it or something like that, if that makes sense. So there we go. And another question I'll answer real quick. Are you looking to become a commercial airline pilot? Yes, you can watch some of the other content to get more detail on that. Basics of each system is a great way to put it. Thank you, Citrus. Really good way to put it. 100%. And then brake fluid's the big one on this side for this aircraft. Man, I'm sorry to hear that, Aviation LAS. But that was a really good question, AWR. Great question. We'll talk about it more thoroughly in the near future. But pretty much like Citrus said, all the basics, but not like down to the root. Like what kind of screws on there right now, if you know. I mean, obviously it's a Phillips head, but not like the dimensions of it or whatnot. And I missed the alternator belt right there. And that's a great example. We'll go over the checklist here in a moment, but it's always good to, if you subconsciously think of something, go back and do it and then come back up to it. But all the major items are on the checklist, so. But of course, I do like to walk around to be as thorough as possible with it. Make sure the fuel is clear here. Another good question here that I'll answer real quick. I'm fine with bouncing all around since these are really good questions, but we'll talk about each and every one more in detail in the future, of course. When you get your license, do you have to have a certificate for each type of aircraft you fly? I know when it comes to multi-engine and jets. So yes, for bigger aircraft, yes, type ratings is kind of how that works. But for small aircraft, there's various rules and whatnot. But pretty much for the private pilot's license, if the aircraft's under 200 horsepower, is not a complex aircraft, not a high-power aircraft, etc. And as long as it's single engine, all that fun stuff, most aircraft you can fly with private pilot's license as long as you're proficient in them, know the POH, had a proficiency flight, or check-off flight, if you will, and know how to fly it. So yes, those kind of items. Like, for instance, I can fly the Piper Warrior since I had a proficiency check in that and did well with it. But, for instance, I can't go fly the King Air with 2 engines right now, like King Air 350 or something. While I could probably find a way to start it up, I don't think I would get much farther than that, so. But various instances, for sure. Good question. Feel free to keep asking. And yes, Steven, this is a PA-38-112 Tomahawk. The plane that I trained in quite significantly. Dang Apple Watch. Making sure I'm not missing anything here. Cool. Yeah, 12,000 is the big one there. So just giving you guys some more particular details. I'll give you the general assessment. And again, I'm sorry this has been such a long pre-flight, but just giving you guys the details so you guys know when we briefly do the pre-flight in the simulator what we're doing. So, panels. Cleveland 6s. Make sure the screws are on the flaps. Antenna down there looks good. Make sure the frame's good. Also, those holes that are blocking the lines, those are called strut holes. And pretty much what that does is end a crack. So it just stops the crack right there and it can't develop anymore. So that's kind of the point of that. That's kind of an interesting one. Clean fuel is applicable. I'm not going to do this side, the wing, because it's pretty repetitive to what we already did, and you guys probably already saw it once. The only difference is the pitot heat right here, so of course you'd make sure the pitot head's firm and in position right there. Make sure that the static ports are looking good and clear and whatnot. And also make sure the stall strip's good right there, tied down. Pretty much everything that we did on that side, but it still has to be done on this side, of course. Make sure everything's good. I don't think there's any other major differences here. And then that takes us into the... that side, the other side to tell, or this is where I started it, so I think this is where I go into the summary checklist, so let's see. Alright, sometimes you second guess yourself, just always make sure. I guess I thought that I left the cap open, so. Welcome aboard. But here we go with the external summary checklist. I always want to make sure that I got everything. Trying to think of what I was thinking of here. Take it easy, ORD. And that's what I was talking about, seeing the top of the elevator by standing up and being sure that you can see it. There's always a caveat, usually, to any plane, it seems like. Testing the rudders. Make sure that moves. There you go. 2 contrails in the background, but not trying to get distracted. That was my bad. Easy to get distracted. $76 AWR. Final walk around. So, of course, that's on checklist right here. Sorry this isn't the clearest rendition. I'll try to get a better picture in the future. So, yeah, pre-flight's pretty good. Getting that final walk around, making sure all the screws are in, screens in the elevator, all those fun items. Walking around. Anything else? Had another 2 minutes here, so let's see what else I did here. Oh, did I catch the biz jet at the very end for you guys? I think I did. Just a little intermission. This is kind of the fun thing. Once you're done with the pre-flight, then yeah, it's okay to go try to find this biz jet if it does come up. There it comes. So this was an Airshare Thenon 300 with the blue tail. So it is kind of fun to get the. It is kind of cool to get the plane, catch planes like that every now and then. There's a nice Cirrus Cloud unit from, I think it was like May when I did this, but that right there, and that's where we're going to end it. So really good stuff right there. Hopefully that was enjoyable. Sorry it was a little long, but there we go. Yeah, thank goodness I'm at FTP 141, so I don't have to worry about 1500. So, 924 to go. So there we go. But we're making good progress. So, from here, next on the checklist is our plan of action. So you go back inside like I was doing right there and kind of talk about what we're going to be doing during the flight. So let me pull that up for you guys, and I'll tell you guys what we're going to be doing. So I do have our plan of action written right here, and we'll talk about the details of it. So let's get started with the plan of action. I'll actually kind of just pan it back and forth with you guys. So let's do that, and I can make my webcam a little bit bigger so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Plan of action, here we go. So here's the plan of action for today's flight. So the first thing we're going to be doing is getting accustomed to the aircraft. So the reason we're going to be getting accustomed to the aircraft, because this is going to be your first time for you guys in the Piper Tomahawk. We'll be sure to get accustomed to it, make sure that we know all the details where everything is. Pretty basic stuff right there. We're going to be working with the checklist a lot because checklist usage is huge. Make sure of safety and everything, and that autofocus is killer. I love this webcam. But as you guys can see, make sure that checklist is good. We'll be in good shape there, and make sure that we're all good to go on that behalf. The pre-flight, I already did that for you guys, so that was a big part of it to make sure that that was thorough, so we did get the pre-flight going there. And last but certainly not least, we're going to be having a brief talk about how to start. This is kind of the whole plan of action, but we already talked about that, so we're not going to be going into any more detail about that. And then for the flight, checklist usage. We're going to be big on checklist usage to make sure that we have no problem with that. So we're going to be making sure that our checklist usage is good. We're going to be really emphasizing the details because we want to make sure that we're in good shape. So we're going to be emphasizing details, making sure we're in good shape there, and everything there to come as well. Kind of some of the flight items that we're going to be doing. First and foremost, I probably should have put this first. It was one of the last things I thought about. But this is going to be a mini discovery flight, so I'm going to kind of show you guys what flying's all about and everything like that. You guys kind of already know, but I'll give you guys a little bit of a detailed lineup there. And then kind of the first thing we'll be practicing is major safety, because safety first during anything like this. So we want to make sure that safety's good at every given time. So that is kind of the plan there. And last but certainly not least, some of the elements that we're going to be going over in today's flight is grade level flight, climbs, turns, descents, and I might demo some slow flight or a few stalls for you guys. So really basic flight maneuvers, but I'm going to be showing you guys what flight's all about, and that's kind of the point of today's flight. So let's go through and chat. If you guys have any questions about this, feel free to ask. I've liked the questions. They've been really good today. There it is, Stephen. Very nice. Yeah, Stand Up to Cancer is good. I like it back there. It's a nice prop for today. But yeah, any questions about anything we've done so far? This is a really good time, intermission. So this is the plan of action. This is what we'll be doing today. If you guys have any questions about it, feel free to ask. But I will be having the checklist here on my iPad, the reference on my knee. And normally I'd have my knee board, but the knee board's in the flight bag over there. And well, actually, I'll just show you guys let me show you guys a little bit of the equipment that you'll need to get started. Might as well, since we're here, and it's been a while since we've talked about it. So why don't I just bring over my flight bag, and we're going to reference some of these items. So one of the biggest ones that you're going to need to start is a headset. These are David Clark's H13.10s. I'm sorry, H10 13.4s. You're going to need a good headset. This is going to plug into the mic and the listener. So you want to make sure you got a good headset so you can listen to everybody, make sure that that's all good. And I recommend being able to do that so you can actually hear air traffic control, hear other people talking, hear your flight instructor talking, that sort of thing. So you're definitely going to need that. This is a Skymarks model that I was given from the American Airlines maintenance facility tour I went on. I know I'm getting off topic, I'm sorry, but I'll just explain it real quick. This was the plaque that it had, but I'm pretty sure it's just a normal Skymarks model. I will do a review on it once I get back home. So, but yes, a little off topic, but I'm pretty sure that's a normal model. Not completely sure. I am using X-Plane today because I have a MacBook, and quite frankly, I don't have $3,000 right now to go get a rig that can do Microsoft Flight Simulator, so hopefully that's understandable, but it is something I'm not completely out on yet, just what I have at the moment. Some of the other items, like I was referencing, you're going to need a knee board, which is really helpful. So some of the items on the knee board, what I've always done, I have a notepad right here to go over my items. So let me find a good example. So usually on my Metars, usually on my papers, I write aircraft instructions, or Metars, aircraft instructions, and time. So here's an example of Metars. Excuse my poor handwriting. And then here was an instruction, left downwind runway 17. I know that was really bad, but it was pretty, I get used to it. And then time was 5:47 for that. Let me see if I have any like obscure examples on this one, because it's kind of cool that I have this out. Oh, this is the one I used on my check ride. Yeah, that's the one I used on my check ride. Oh, that's kind of cool. I think these were the weather conditions during my check ride. I might as well show them just for fun. Pretty sure this is my check ride flight conditions, which were really good. So, looks like winds were 070 at 4, clear below 12,000, yada, yada, yada. So, pretty good weather right there. Not bad. How many hours a day or a week do you study at OSU? Good question. Mainly my aviation stuff is what takes my time, but I would say on average I've studied 2 to 3 hours a day or so, probably. With homework and everything, probably, and going to class and everything, probably like more like 6 to, I would say 5 to 6 hours a day, probably commitment, 6 or 7. Doing 14 credit hours, but I haven't done any flight lessons yet, so that is something to consider too, but yeah. For sure, Citrus, 100%. It's really nice. I'll do a review on it. I thought it was normal, but maybe I'm dreaming. And then on kneeboard, of course, you want to keep a pen. I recommend Pilots. They're really good. They're thin, nice and easy to write on, especially for the logbook. This is a .38, so they're on Amazon. They're pretty affordable, so I'd recommend getting those. And an airport diagram. So here's our airport diagram of the Stillwater Regional Airport that now has expired, but what can I say? And, of course, it has all your applicable detail on it with the taxiways, runways, and all that fun stuff. And here was another one, the Cushing Regional Airport, so municipal, excuse me, but that has all the details on there too. But that's what a kneeboard looks like. Just thought I would show you guys that. Of course, you have other items I did go over in that first video, but your FAR AIM, PHAC, or Pilot's Handbook and Aeronautical Knowledge, excuse me, Airplane Flying Handbook. Fogos will use this for a little bit of instrument reference going into the future. I also have a couple of other items, including a flight computer, a plotter, my winter gear. So I have a I don't even know what you want to call one of these things, but I have one. So I have that, a beanie, gloves, all those fun things, because it does get cold here sometimes. Believe it or not, it does get cold. So, but yeah, any questions before we dive into the flight? Because that's the plan of action. As you guys can see, we have a really good one here at that. webcam, might as well use it. So you guys can see all the plan of action and what's to come for there. So that's going to be absolutely awesome. Yeah, chart supplement. Yes, you definitely want to assess that 100%. And guess what, Citrus? If you really want to get technical about the chart supplement, stand by. Okay, it's expired, but in my defense, I have not done any flying. But boom, the chart supplement for the South Central U.S. Valid till September 8th, but I can go on the... Actually, I think I probably have it on 4Flight, actually, because 4Flight updates pretty regularly. So let me see if I have it on 4Flight. But any applicable detail about the chart supplement is pretty much right here. Boom. Cool. All right. With that out of the way, any questions or thoughts or any questions about the plan of action before we begin our flight? So, local flight around the area. Oh, glad I saw my percentage. I need to plug this in. We'll be doing a local flight around the area today. Explaining all those maneuvers, safeties, details, just going over some of the general items like I said. But yeah, any questions before we get started on those? Any questions? Of course, my chair wants to just go crap mode now. But any questions? If not, let's get X-Plane launched. I know this was like what was supposed to be here already, but hey, we're making it. So X-Plane is coming up, boys. Come on, chair. You gotta work with me here. I do not recommend having bad chairs because they are not very good. Okay, I believe we can see everything here, so we should be good to go. So we're going to do a new flight here. Normally I would use VATSIM, but just because it's a stream and everything, I probably will not for the indefinite future. But we'll talk about that more here in a moment. So here's our aircraft. We're going to be in the PA-38 Tomahawk. Engine not running for this. We'll be using this one because it's the closest to one of the ones that I flew in. So there we go. At the Stillwater Regional Airport, we're going to park on this spot. This is really where I parked in the past, and down here is a new ramp now. But we'll just park right here. That'll work for today. And we'll have clear skies. And it's 5 o'clock right now, isn't it? So we might as well do... I'll do real flight conditions just to make it even funner, because why not? So let me customize this. Set present. Or I'm sorry. Yeah, this needs to be match real world conditions. Done. Cool. And it's like 5 right now. What time is it? 5:12, so we'll just do 5:12 on here. 5:11 is good enough. And we'll make this September 28th today? 28th. All right, any questions? X-Plane 11. 12 I have not looked into yet because I'm not sure if it has the planes that I need. But I do want to get it because it has a Cirrus. So this is 11. But it's pretty applicable, so we should be in good shape. I don't think there's anything else we need to do. We check weight and balance, make sure. A little heavy there, but we have plenty of fuel. That's kind of the point. And everything should be good. Center of gravity is in a good spot. Pleased with that. So yeah. Any questions before we start? I'm ready for this. We're going to be doing a local flight here at the Stillwater Regional Airport. It's going to be pretty fun, and I think it's going to be a blast. Any questions? If not, let's start this. Hopefully it doesn't lag out. It might a little bit, but hopefully it'll catch up to itself. I'm praying that the Wi-Fi will hold its own, but we'll see what happens. If it drops bad, I'm sorry, but I'll let it give some time to even out here. But of course, got the checklist like I said. The other items, all that fun stuff. We're going to walk through this. Yeah, I would like to do a flight plan, show you guys what cross countries are about before we jump into the cross country stuff. Looks like it lagged out just a little bit. If it is, I apologize. But the Stillwater Regional Airport will be suffice for what we're doing today. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about the format too. I'd love to hear what you guys think. Hopefully it's nice and detailed for you guys that are wondering what private pilot training is like, or just in general. So feel free to let me know what you guys think. Probably next time we'll start diving into slow flight stalls, really a bunch of stage 1 stuff, other things like that as well. All right, welcome to the aircraft. This is the Piper PA-38 Tomahawk. We're going to get outside and act like we've just finished. Ignore all this crap. I'm going to remove that right now. Let me see here. I've not done this in a while, so I sincerely apologize. So let me see here. That needs to stay on. That needs to stay on. I thought that it was over here where you got all that off. Let me open that door. No, I don't need any of that. Thought that it was on here. I'm sorry. Should be able to remove it once the plane starts. But here's our PA-38 Tomahawk and some nice lighting. Literally right now, that's what it looks like out there. So let's get started with the startup here. So the first thing we're going to be starting with, as you guys can see, my mouse doesn't go over the picture, I apologize, but the interior checklist right there, this is the first place we start. Get all of our items loaded back here to the back. So pretend my flight bag's right here, my flight instructor's bag somewhere over here, like any waters or anything there too. So shoulder harness, put that on right here, and the seatbelt as well. So let's get into the details. So let's get started with the interior checklist. Let me put this on. Crap, I've never done it like this. I think it went on my right knee, I think is where I put it. Yeah, because it's right-handed. Okay, but passenger load brief, we're going to be using the safety acronym for this. So seatbelts, you'd make sure you put your seatbelt on. So boom, shoulder harness, boom. I wish I could show you guys, but this is not the best example, so I apologize. Air vents, make sure they're open. So as you guys can see, the air vents are actually closed on this. I did remove it right there, but just, you know what? I'll just move around so I can show you guys. How about that? So we're going to make sure the vents are open right there because, what's the temperature? 88 degrees, so you probably would like those. Probably wouldn't hurt. So we're going to get our air vents open. Of course, it's just that lever that makes that happen right there. And the fire extinguisher, our Piper Tomahawks don't have one, and this one actually does. So I will show you guys what this means. But you want to see this suction in the green on any of these, so that's kind of the goal there. So that is what we're looking at there. For the Tomahawks, make sure your fire extinguisher is in the green. And then your exit, so you show your passenger or anything how you latch these. So I'm going to bring this in right here, and this is how you latch it. So the latch, like I said, it's automated, but just imagine that that just goes down and that sort of thing. And then top latch up here, you're going to close this just like that. It's much harder than that in real life, but there you go. There's the temperature and everything. All looks good. And yeah, looking good right there. And yes, Citrus, remove all these outdoor items, including the chocks, tow bar, and the tie downs. But of course, X-Plane is X-Plane. So there we go. And then we have 3 T's, talk, touch, and traffic. So for talk, we'll be keeping a stereo cockpit for the whole flight, focusing on all things for the flight. That's stereo cockpit, not flight controls yet. Excuse me. So there we go there. And then for touch, positive exchange for flight controls. I have the flight controls. You have the flight controls. I should have the flight controls for the entire flight today because I'm the CFI theoretically. And yes, so I will have the flight controls today. And this is your guys' perspective too. Keep in mind. So there you go. In the flight training environment, the CFI would normally be here. So this is what it looks like from his side. But let's bounce back over here. And then, of course, for traffic, make sure that we don't have any cars, planes, people, airplanes, bicycles, you name it. Make sure that we're looking out for wildlife like those trees. Sorry about the aerial view. It is poor in this simulator. And also cars, obstruction, you name it. We want to make sure we're on the lookout for it. So looking good there. And feel free to ask any questions if you guys have any at this time. Sounds good, Jer. See you soon. Alright, next, Hobbs tack time, so you want to make sure it's verified. Personally, we have a binder that we use that has the key in it, the Hobbs tack time, the 100-hour inspection, all that. So 1442, this would line up in the binder for Will, and then the Hobbs is 14.4, so that's what it would be. I know that's janky, but whatever. So you check the Hobbs tack time, make sure that's good. And then the fuel proper tank will be starting on the left today. So we never have off. We never do it off. So we just do left and right. So we're going to be switching this over to the left today. We'll start on the left because they're even. Circuit breakers. So the circuit breakers are down here on the right. Let me bring this back because it's kind of unrealistic to do it like that. But I know this is bad view, but I just want to give you guys a further assessment of what these items look like. So here's the circuit breakers. You want to make sure they're all in. Of course, this is for the electrical system. In case if something gets overloaded, it will pop just like a normal circuit breaker. But everything's in and good here on this example, as you guys can see. Alternate static. This is down here on the bottom right. I know you guys can't really see it that well. I'm going to see if I can get a little bit better of a view. Oh, not quite that far down. Can't see it, but it's a little lever that is probably about this long, and it has a couple positions. You would go to 12 o'clock and back to 9, pretty much to make sure that your altimeter and vertical speed indicator have a backup source and the airspeed indicator as well. That's what the alternate static's for, because there's static ports on the back of the plane that look a little something like that, even though it has holes in it and it's blocked up by the registration. But yeah, there we go. ELT armed. This aircraft, the console doesn't open, but that's normally where it would be. Most aircraft are automatically armed as it is, so there we go. Yes, that is the correct assessment. I hope to get a iPhone soon, but this is, or yikes, Microsoft computer soon, but this will do for today. In brakes pedal test, you check the left and the right by pressing it down, literally speaking, so left, right. This does the parking brake. I can't figure out how to get it on my joystick where it doesn't do that, so there'll be a couple of janky items today because of that, but we'll make it work at the very least. That is the interior checklist. The interior checklist has been completed, and let's move into the startup checklist, which we are, yes, going to start the plane. I know that's crazy, but let's get started. Seat backtracked and locked. Make sure that your seat's locked. So, yes, I'm sitting in a rolling chair, so not very applicable, but there we go. Avionics off. The avionics, I'm sorry, this plane's a little bit different than what I'm used to. That's normally where it is. I think the avionics are, where are they on this X-Plane 1? Sorry, I'm seeing where they are. I apologize about this, guys. Where do they put the avionics on this plane? That's not the avionics. Where are they? Sorry, every plane's a little bit different. Let me know if I'm missing something, guys, but I know it might be this one. I don't think it is, though. Is it in here in the middle? It should be pretty obvious. I can't believe that they hit it up this bad. Battery, carb heat, parking brake. I'm thinking it might be that one. I honestly don't know. Huh, that's very interesting at the very least. I thought I had it on here. I'm sorry, guys. I thought that the avionics were on here. It might be this one. I didn't think it was, but it might be that one. Unless if I'm completely missing something. But normally, it would be over here in this area. But okay, whatever. This Tomahawk's stupid. So there we go. We'll find it. We'll get there when we get there. Carb heat off. The carb heat's off. It's right there. It's off. We're looking good. Beacon on. Anti-collision comes on for that. Mixture full rich. This is obviously to get the fuel and air mixture into the engine, which is looking good. You get Aviation LAS. And throttle slight. Going to bring the throttle up slightly. And then, my favorite, the primer. So the primer gets fuel into the engine a little bit. This is a very controversial take on how much primer you should put in. I like to start low and go up. I usually start with 3, so we're going to start with 3 today. But the plane's going to start right up because it's a simulator. But I've had, even we've had to cancel flight lessons because we tried priming it 6 times and the plane wouldn't start. So, there you go. But what can I say? Alrighty, parking brakes on. So we're going to start this engine here. With the brakes set, I have the brakes and then prop clear. Left, or let me do this like this. Left, center, right, behind. Imagine I open this little, open. Clear prop. There you go. You can keep it open if you want, but whatever. And then here we go. Master on. Fuel pump on. Mag start. And then that's a timing thing. You have to have it on point there. But what can I say? We did our best. So the engine has been started and we are started. So here we go. Of course, holding down our brakes at this time. And let's get started here. Oil pressure. The oil pressure is in the green. Fuel pump off. Fuel pressure is in the green. Lights as required. The landing light comes on. And mixture as required. So we're going to lean it out for 1200. This is a pretty good rule of thumb, but every aircraft is different. So what you're going to do is bring the throttle up to 1200 RPM on the engine. It works just like a car. Bring down the mixture until it comes down. There's the drop. Put it back in. And we'll bring this back down to 900. Feel free to ask any questions too. I'm always happy to answer. This is our very first flight after all, so go in as detailed as possible. That is correct, Citrus. We are at the Stillwater Regional Airport. We also do not have a flight number. Tail number is 2432 Golf, I believe. Unreliability mod counts the flight simulator. This is true. And yeah, the start checklist is complete, so we'll take it into the pre-taxi taxi checklist. Seatbelt and harness. The seatbelt is on, and the harness is as well. Flaps up. Normally would be like this, but we'll just put them up just like so. Heat vent defrost, the vents are open and the other two are not applicable for this exact time, but you'd make sure that they're off, of course. There you go. Avionics on. Now this is going to be tough because I'm trying to find the avionics and that's not the avionics. Let's see if I can find them. Press to test. Now it's here, what it looks like. I will find these avionics. I just can't believe they're not on by, I think they're on by default in this. Maybe that's what it is. Because obviously all this is on already. Well, transponder isn't. I found it previously. It's been a while since I've been in this plane. The sim, that version that is. Is this it? Where are the avionics? If not, I'll just do a cutout. But Also, pedostatic drain on some aircraft doesn't have the checklist for whatever reason, but that needs to be checked. Sorry, that checklist I downloaded did not have it. So that's as easy as it is to miss something like that. So, there's no MELs to this. This is KOEL territory. That's if I can find the avionics, and we've been unsuccessful so far, so we may have to do a cutout. But normally it would be right here, and you just switch it on. Oh, is it down here with this crap? I think it might be. No? Man, you got to be joking. You would think that it would be in here, because normally it's up here, but it's not in the high and the low setting. No. I'm looking for it, but I don't. Okay, it's on. Transponder came on. So the battery's on somewhere. I guess it must be automatically on in this sim, which is what it is. Yes, broken airplanes, nothing new. Avionics on set, transponder standby. Transponder, this is not how ours looks, but you can push the standby button. Normally it's a toggle, so that's what you got right there. ATIS and AWAS. So we're going to tune to Stillwater's AWAS, which is 135720. I about forgot. That's bad. But 135720. Sorry, sometimes I say them out loud bad. And I'm going to write this off to the side, but imagine my knee pad right here. Or actually, I'll just do it on 4Flight. Screw it. That's where I'll do my flight today. And 4Flight's really helpful. You can use it for so many different elements. Personally, I did not get to use it during my private training, but you are more than welcome to use it however you need. So I'm going to pull up the scratch pads, pull up the ATIS, and then we're going to get the weather. So let's do it. $720 is where I messed up on that. 135720. And this is as realistic as we can get it, so. Papa doesn't matter because that's not how the actual weather works, but that's good enough. So I just wrote all the weather down right here. So good weather. No major notes besides that we could take off any one way we want because the winds are calm. So yeah, we'll expect 3.5. I'll try ATC in this. I don't know how good it's going to do, but I'm going to imitate it instead because that's more applicable for what we're doing. So we'll do that. And let's see here. Anything else that we need to go into detail about on that? I think we're good. So we got the METAR. Okay, altimeter 3017. So we're just going to move it up. Of course, there's better iterations of this, but there we go. Airport's like 1,000 feet, so that's pretty solid there. Altimeter, we got it, and the radio test. So we're going to put the Stillwater Tower, or Stillwater ground in here. I don't think they're going to... the autopilot in here is so bad that I may not even try it, but we're gonna have it there, and then you can put different things down here. Usually I have the weather in my comm too, so I'll just put it back in there just for the heck of it. So 135720, we'll reference it here in a moment as well, so that'll work anyways. So there we go, and then tower we're gonna put in there here in a moment. Let's see here. Taxi light as required. I've got the landing light on. Brakes test. So this is where we're going to test the brakes. Typically it would be left, right, both on the pedals, but I can't really imitate that very well, so I'm just going to say, boom, brakes, they work, yada, yada, yada. Not the best, but that's good enough. Attitude indicator test. The attitude is level. Usually you could move this button. If not, well, it was a little off actually, so there we go. And the turn coordinator test. So we're going to get the turn coordinator tested here, so we're going to slowly move. So we're going to go to the left activates, and we're going to go to the right activates, and back and set. And the heading to compass, we're going to make sure the heading compass is good. Looks like we are on about a heading of 220, and we have 220 right there. Normally it's way off, but it's aligned today, so there we go. All right, the pre-taxi taxi checklist is complete. So we're going to request so our ramp, personally, this is a really rare situation, but our ramp was so close that we could taxi onto the run-up area without contact ground. Normally, you'd need contact ground. So I'm not sure what air traffic control would do. Here, I mean, we can try, but I don't even know what this thing would do. This isn't going to work, so this is kind of bad, but pretty much what you do is contact Stillwater ground on 121.6. So it would be, and I'll just put it in here for the heck of it. So, well, maybe the frequency is what messed it up, but yeah. So it would be Stillwater ground, Tomahawk. I'm just going to use a call sign that I'm familiar with. I know this is 3-2 golf, but I'm going to use 5-4 golf because that's what I'm used to. So Stillwater ground, Tomahawk 2554 golf. This is technically the Oklahoma State ramp on the airport, but I'll just say at ramp, ready to taxi to the run-up area with the numbers, and they would come back and say, Tomahawk 2554 golf, Stillwater ground, taxi to the run-up area via Foxtrot, I believe is what this would be, because that's taxiway Foxtrot. So we would say back, and I'm going to make sure that's correct before I don't reference the correct taxiway. Yeah, so taxi to the ramp via taxiway Foxtrot, Tomahawk 2554 golf. And that is where we're going to go next. So we're going to go to the run-up area. So when you make sure your aircraft's all functioning and everything, feel free to ask any questions if you guys have any, of course. But we're going to slowly move it. Here's what the outside of the aircraft looks like. Some really good lighting right now on it. So, but obviously that wouldn't happen in real life. So don't bank on me doing that many more times. Outside of maybe a couple if it's really nice out there. But I'll show you guys where our run-up area is. So slow taxi is pretty important in my opinion. I really enjoy slow taxiing to make sure that we don't hit anything. So that is what we're doing right there. Make sure the taxiway Foxtrot is clear. Clear to the left. Clear to the right. Pretty far down there. Good. And here we go on to taxiway. It says Echo. It's Papa in real life. I'll show you guys the airport diagram if you want to see it. But yeah, any questions? This would be a solid time for questions when applicable. And just make sure you got the details as well. Make sure that you know your location signs and everything. This is letting us know that we're now on taxiway Echo. We have the airport lights, which are blue on the outside. So Echo goes that way as well. But we're currently on Foxtrot, taxiing over to the ramp right here. And there's Delta and everything. This airport layout is slightly different compared to the real-life Stillwater. So we'll do our best to imitate that. I think it would come up on this one. So as you can see, it's slightly different. There's now a fourth extension down there since they extended the runway. So, but we'll use 3.5 probably right there at Alpha. So now taxiing into the ramp, we're going to the run-up area. So feel free to ask any questions if there is any. I would not recommend ever checking your phone here, but I want to make sure. I felt a lot on my watch there, so making sure there was nothing going on. Okay, so we are now into the taxiway, the ramp area, excuse me. And this ramp is slightly different, so I'm going to make sure that I don't miss anything here. So we're currently taxiing down here. The main run-up area is right here, so we're going to use this area. So we're just going to go straight ahead, cut this over, and then use that area right there. So that's our plan. I believe this is, I don't know if that's technically a taxiway or not in this apron, but we'll just pretend it is. But yeah, any questions? Go a little bit faster here. The view is really nice out here, so. But obviously, in real life, you're not going to get that view, so don't think that that's going to come out of nowhere. There we go. All right. What we're going to do is taxi over here. And this will be good for the run-up area. So this is kind of janky, but there's a lot more room where the area I'm kind of going to imitate, if you will. So we're going to do right here next to the sign about right in this area. But, of course, there's a little bit more room in real life, so keep that in mind. Wind was calm, so normally you'd point it into the wind. But in this case, the wind was calm. So I will look at the windsuck just for the heck of it, though, if there is one over there, which I'm not seeing one. That's normally where it would be. So wind was calm, so we'll just put it a little bit over to the right here, just to kind of keep us out of the way of the taxiway. And yeah, we'll just do it from about right here. Alrighty, so the run-up checklist, here we go. Feel free to ask any questions as needed, but the run-up's there in the middle of the checklist. Alright, they're using runway 4 right now, which is kind of funny, but brakes set, the brakes are set. The fuel's on the proper tank. We're starting on the left, trim takeoff. Want to go down here to the trim, make sure we're at takeoff. It is neutral, so we are at takeoff. Flight controls. So obviously what you do is test the ailerons and everything here. Left, right, right, left, up, up, down, down. Cool. And the rudder, of course. Sorry, this is a different format. Left, right. Sweet. Sounds good, Citrus. Take it easy. Thanks for coming by. Appreciate it. Alrighty. Following that, we have the annunciator light. The alternate side of the battery is coming off, and this little guy will illuminate right here. Illuminated. And that one over there does too. Instruments. The airspeed's looking good. Turn coordinators look good. Attitudes look good. Headings look good. Altimeters look good. Vertical speed indicators look good. Tachometers looking good. We'll bring it up just a little bit though. VORs are looking good. Radios are not looking good because we're going to set the Stillwater tower in here. But we'll send in contact ground. I'll show you guys why here in a moment. Transponders looking good. We got VFR squawk and standby. We'll change that here in a minute. And then usually there would be some more stuff on different planes, of course, but it's just what we have for today. Amps are looking good. Fuel pressure's looking good. Oil temperature's looking good. And oil pressure's looking good. Excuse me. And then mixture best power. So what you would normally do right here is you would put the mixture all the way up and then get, or I'm sorry, you could leave it right there either way, but you go with full throttle and then bring the mixture down until you have the release, or I'm sorry, the drop and the RPM. But obviously the parking brake doesn't work really well because I'll show you what it'll do here just for the sake of it. So, or you could just leave it where I'll just leave it right there, but full power, it's going to move the plane, or heck, I thought I was going to move the plane a little bit. I guess it didn't. So we'll actually do how it's supposed to be done. So go full power and then bring the mixture back. There's the drop. It looks like the drop's about right there. So that's where the mixture needs to be. And then you would leave it there. For next check, primary interlocked, which you just fill it. It'd normally be firm if that makes sense. 1800 RPM. And the mag's left and right check, so we're going to start with the right. I want to try not to kill the engine here. Right, drop about 100, or it says 50, but normally it would be about 100 within tolerance there. Back to both, and then over to the, it was a little over, so that's why. Then if we go over to the left mag, almost about 100 within tolerance as well. Very nice. Carb heat test. I accidentally clicked the button, but carb heat was already on. But as you can see, RPM drop. That's what we were looking for with that. So there you go. And the vacuum is in the green. Looks to be pretty close to it, if not. But normally there's a green sector there for every vacuum. It appears to be in the green to me. Amps and volts are looking good. Fuel pressure's looking good. Oil pressure's looking good. And oil temperature's looking good. Idle checked closed. And you bring down the idle and make sure that you pass. So that's kind of the point there, which it does. And we'll talk about the mags and why we're doing all these checks more in the future, but this is kind of just the baseline items, if you will. And the friction lock was good. The friction lock means if you move the throttle, if it was too firm or too soft, then you adjust it as needed. Alrighty, the run-up checklist is complete. Seems like we have really decreased viewership, but that's all good. Hopefully everybody's enjoying that is still here, of course. I'm sure just everybody's busy today and everything, so... But it's all good. We'll move towards the evening in the future. All right. Next in line, it is time to contact ground. So what we're going to contact ground and tell them it's going to be Stillwater ground, Tomahawk 2554 Golf, at ramp, ready for departure, or ready taxi, or I'm sorry, it's been a while since I've done it. Sometimes you slip up like this, it happens. Usually I always like to practice that before I say it to them. So it's going to be Stillwater Tower, Tomahawk 2554 Golf, at ramp, ready to taxi. Yeah, it's ready to taxi to the active. There you go. So, or just ready to taxi to the active with the numbers. I'm trying to think if I missed anything. Sorry, it's hard because it's just been so long. Stillwater ground, Tomahawk 2554 Golf at ramp, ready for taxi to the active. With the numbers departing whatever direction. For the sake of this, we'll depart to the. Northeast has some cool geographic features, so we'll just say that we're departing to the northeast. Stillwater ground will come back to say Tomahawk 2554 Golf, Stillwater ground. Taxi the runway 35 via, technically it's Alpha 4 Alpha across, Alpha 4 Alpha, the Alpha 4 Alpha, and that means that we're going to the end of the runway. Because they're not going to say Alpha again because the same taxiway just takes you all the way to the end. Or Bravo, they would say taxi runway 35 via Alpha 4 Alpha Bravo. And then, of course, you would repeat that back. And then on the other side, if you're crossing runway or something, they would tell you cross the taxi or runway. And then they'd also tell you where all the applicable information in terms of, like, if you need to hold short somewhere or something like that. So we're going to report back, tell them, taxi to runway 35 via Alpha 4 Alpha. Tomahawk 2554 Golf, and that is the call from there. Alrighty, with that, then you check your airport diagram and you talk about where you need taxi. So I'm going to do this the best I can, but of course, Alpha 4 Alpha, and this takes us all the way down to runway 35. Cool. Alright, let's do it. Feel free to ask any questions. I know that we have limited viewership, so let's try to get as many questions going here as possible if you guys want to. That would be on Stillwater ground. I don't know if it would fix it up or not. Yeah, I don't know what ATC's problem is, but I'd like to get Microsoft Flight Simulator for sure. But yeah, let's taxi over there. So we'll pretend that's this one here in front of us will work for today. But again, just detail. Staying on the center line. Obviously not a ton of people know that. I know you guys do, but some people don't know that. Make sure not hit anything. I'm sorry that's not like a wider view here on X-Plane. I wish it was. Taxiway Alpha is looking pretty clear. Lights are already coming on since we got about an hour of daylight in the sim, so we'll fly about an hour worth or so, depending on what we need to do here. But I hope you guys have enjoyed the stream. Let me know what you guys think of the format thus far. Alpha is clear, so we'll take a left here. Make sure that we're in the right spot here, because this is, of course, different. Yeah, so we're going to take Alpha down here all the way to the edge of the runway, but Alpha's good on that side. There's taxiway Bravo. But of course, you want to keep it on the center line. And I would say a good taxiing RPM speed's about 1,200 to 1,400 on most planes. Just depends on the plane, though, so keep that in mind. And yeah, this is a fairly simple one, but just avoiding collision hazards, making sure the taxiway over there is good, which it is. Yes, sir, Steven, absolutely. Sorry, that was kind of my fault for looking at the chat. It's kind of the hard part about the chat. Not quite ready. The chat continues to be that quiet going into the future. I may get some VATSIM going on here because it sounds like it would be applicable. I don't know if I could find somebody to do tower on VATSIM, but that would be helpful. We'll see. I don't know if it would work on a stream or not, but I don't think we've dropped many frames, so I'm glad that the internet's been holding up well thus far. But here's Taxiway Alpha as I was referencing. And just like that, boom, we are holding short of runway 35 here at Alpha. And this is where we'll do the pre-takeoff checklist. So flaps 0 to 21 degrees. We're doing a normal takeoff today. We'll talk about that more in the brief. So flaps will be 0. Let's see here. Fuel pump on. We get it in the last check here. You guys will see what I'm referencing here in a moment. Mixture best power, it is. Carb heat off as required, it is off. Pitot heat as required, it's staying off. Heading to compass is set. Doors and windows are, I believe, latched and good. Yes, doors and windows are latched and good. Transponder altitude squawk. Altitude with the squawk is 1200. And landing line on, it is. Strobes on, they are. Time, note the current time is 5:44. Noted. And brakes release with the abort plan ready. So here's how the abort plan works. So it's a big, pretty long section here. So beginning with the type of takeoff we're going to be doing a normal takeoff. Normally you'd have a crosswind, but there is no crosswind whatsoever, so it's just a normal takeoff today. Following that, and you'd be able to observe what the calm wind is, so you'd have a slight crosswind, very marginal, but always helpful to know it. So normal takeoff today. Then runway and heading, we'll fly runway heading till we're 300 feet below traffic pattern altitude, which is 1,500 feet in the case of Stillwater, which is 1,800 feet for traffic pattern altitude. Normally standard is 1,000, but this airport's just lower because of all the traffic. But then once we get 300 feet below traffic pattern altitude, we'll make a 45-degree turn to the right, and then we'll exit out to the northwest. I'm sorry, to the left, excuse me. I forgot where we were going. Or did I say we were going northeast? We said northeast. Yeah, that's right. So 45 to the right, and then, of course, we'll take it over there to whatever heading. I'll probably fly, like, I don't know, like 040 or something. So we'll see what it's going to be. But pretty good stuff there. And we'll climb up to 3,500 feet for some straight and level flight. Okay. Next up, we have the abort point, which will be the 3,000 foot remaining sign. I don't even know if we can see it on here. We can most certainly try. Normally, it is this sign right here, because that would be 1,002. I guess this sign right here, but I know they're a little off. I apologize, but you guys know what I'm saying. It won't be off way before that anyway, so we should be good to go. Following that, we have the what happens if we have any abnormalities, which any problems in general or engine failure before rotation with throttle remaining. We will bring throttle closed, brake, slow down, take reverse level, taxiway, and let air traffic control as soon as possible. After rotation, if we have engine failure or throttle remaining, we'll get our best glide speed of 70. We'll land, brake, bring throttle closed, slow down, take the reverse level, taxiway, and let air traffic control as soon as possible. Last but certainly not least, if we have any abnormalities or engine failure after rotation with no runway remaining, we'll get our best glide speed of 70 or better. We'll make small turns to clear obstacles, which is very important because you don't want to be hitting anything. I'm sorry about that. I meant to click this button. Over here, there's a really small airport that is not represented on... Yeah, it's not represented, but there's a really small field over here on the left that I don't think is the next plane. But that is where we would put the aircraft down if we had to. But there's other places, like there's a big road over here that we could utilize. Or I think that's actually supposed to be here. That's kind of the problem. But nevertheless, there's roads, fields, all kinds of items. So we'll use those if we need to. And last but certainly not least, any questions. Which if you guys do have any questions, feel free to ask. But if not, we'll contact Stillwater Tower on 125-350 with Stillwater Tower, Tomahawk 255 for golf, holding short runway 35 at Alpha, ready for departure northeast. Tower would come back and say, Tomahawk 255 for golf, Stillwater Tower, clear to take off, runway 35, or they would maybe give you the winds and any other applicable information, but clear to take off, runway 35 on course, which means the northeast, and I would come back and say, clear to take off, runway 35 at Alpha, Tomahawk 255 for golf, let's proceed on course. And then you'd go for your lights, camera, action checks, so lights are on. Transponder, which is the camera's looking good. And then action's going to be left, center, right, behind. Everything's looking good. And then the fuel pump's coming on. And here we go with the takeoff. And I'll show you guys how this works from here. So very slow into the runway. Don't make it go too crazy. On to the right we go. There's runway 35. Crosswind corrections in, and then you do your checks. Press or gauge look good, tachometer's looking good, airspeed's ready to come live. Here we go. Full throttle. Gauge looking good, tachometer's looking good, airspeed's coming live. Sorry about the rudder. Normally wouldn't be that bad. Of course, it's a simulator though. 53 knots, the rotation speed. There's 53. And a gentle liftoff, and we are airborne. Keep it aligned with the runway. 70 knots is best rate of climb, so we're going for 70. And finally, after 2 hours, we are finally making it. I know it's a tedious process, but it's worth it. This Tomahawk in the simulator is getting pretty good climb rate, to be quite honest. See ya, pretty much is what you'd say to that at the Stillwater Regional Airport to the tower. That's more so if you land, though, and get your taxi clearance. That's when you do something like that. And then you could always look back to make sure, which I do quite often, we're keeping good pace. All right, 1,500 feet. We're going to turn 45 off the runway. Moderate bank here. You get to go 30 if you want to. We'll explain that more here in a moment. There's your 45, and we'll just stay on this heading. We're not here to do anything in particular, but there's a couple lakes and different things out here we can utilize. And it's not that golden outside. X-Plane just saturates it big time, so. But here we go with the climb checklist. That's next up. 70-80 knots we're maintaining. Power is set. Mixture is set. Fuel pump off. Instruments. Airspeed's looking good. Turn coordinates looking good. Attitude's looking good. Headings looking good. Altimeter's looking good. Vertical speed indicators looking good. Tactometer's looking good. VORs are looking good. Radios are looking good. Transponders looking good. Amps are looking good. Fuel pressure's looking good. Oil temperature's looking good. Oil pressure's looking good. And heading compass is set. Taxi landing light off. We'll keep it on for this flight. That's what we do in training. And flight plan open. We do not have one. We'll talk about that more in the future, though. So the climb checklist is complete. And like I said, we'll take it up to 3,500 here and do some straight level flight over here. Make it a little bit more to the northeast. And this is what a climb looks like. If you want to get technical about it, usually you go full power and then bring it up. But it's as simple as this. I talked about it in that first video that I did. So feel free to reference that. Of course. But yeah, feel free to ask any questions. This would be an applicable time. Yeah, another 1,000 feet to go, and then we'll be to our altitude. Yes, I have done night flights during my training, and that will be a full flight that we do as well to go over those details, which will be pretty nice. Talk about the optical illusions during night flying, the just different, it's a whole different vibe. It really is. It's completely different. I'm trying to think of what else goes along with night flying. It's really big. But optical illusions are a big one. Human factors, fatigue, especially in the evening, but not as bad in the morning. Pupils, all kinds. Retinas are different for eyes. I mean, there's so many different things you can talk about when it comes to night flying 100%. $3,000. And almost 3,500. Where I'll trim out the plane and kind of show you guys some basic maneuvers here. But again, just very detailed orientated. Make sure that the plane's in good shape. So obviously all your instruments are looking good as done in the checks. Make sure you're good. We'll change the fuel tank here. It automatically changed, I guess, because I put it on the left. But normally you would change it. So there you go. You turn the fuel pump on, all that fun stuff. Well, in this plane, it's fuel pump on. Make sure the fuel pressure's good. Change it over after a few seconds. Make sure the pressure's still good. And then the fuel pump comes off. Okay, we're at 3,500. We'll level off at our cruising RPM, which in this plane is normally 2,300, but it could be different per aircraft. Let's see what it does if I let down on the yoke. It immediately wants to pitch down, so we'll trim it up. Not that much, but let me see if I can find the trim button here. There we go. Let me see. I know we climbed a little over. You normally wouldn't want to do that on your altitude if you don't have to. And for whatever reason, my yoke is very orientated in reference to climbing, so, or turning to the left. Or it could be the left turning tendency of the actual plane in the simulator, so But I'm going to lose this altitude really quick. Normally wouldn't want to be that aggressive with it, but there we go. I don't know why it, oh, sorry about that. Sorry, I'm in replay mode. That's the problem. There we go. Sorry, this plane, I want to level it out, but it's being kind of a little frustrating when it comes to doing that. What's going on in Billy? Welcome. So let me get us leveled out here at the 3,500 foot marker. Not trying to demo a stall yet. Come on. Sorry about the altitude, guys. The plane just is doing what it does best. Getting us down here, this is looking pretty good. Okay, this is good enough. This will work. Alrighty, so we're going to demo a couple things. So the first thing we talked about was doing straight and level flight. This is literally what it is. This is the PA-38-112 Tomahawk. Okay, so here we go with some straight and level flight. Pretty simple stuff. You literally just keep it straight and level. Very simple. Nothing too much to say here. We did some in that previous video too, so if you'd like to talk about it more in detail, there you go. Trying to get this plane to level off a little bit. Let me see if I can do it. So you just got to find that perfect balance. I think we're almost there. That's pretty good right there. Not bad. Okay, sweet. So this is straight and level flight. Very simple stuff. Can't say much more besides simple. Okay, next thing up is climbs. So what we're going to do for a climb is we'll climb up to 4,000 feet for say. So full throttle and then pitch up. And you can climb at your best rate of climb, which in this case is going to be 70 knots. So let's do that. As you can tell, the plane's just flying around today with no wind. So I got a little below VY. My bad. And there we go. They kind of settled down on the climb rate, but pulling it up. And bringing her up to 4,000. Simple stuff. I can't do too many examples of this. But it is a maneuver and technically needs to be covered. So, yes. What can I say? $4,000, level off. Or actually, yeah, technically level off, then power comes back. Technically speaking, if you want to get technical there. Trying to adjust for my trim because the trim's just been completely whack. It's really slow to react today. But yeah, there it is, 4,000. Very nice. Alrighty, following that, we're going to do a turn, kind of keep it in the groove here, bouncing it around a little bit. So you have different turn marks, of course. 10 degrees, 20 degrees, 30 degrees, 45 degrees we'll use more later on, but it's an invisible line right here, and 60 degrees. So we'll turn to the left at 20 degrees, for instance. So we'll turn to a heading of 270 or west. And this is all the more a turn is. It's pretty simple stuff. Keep the bank angle, keep it consistent. A little harder on the simulator than real life. Yes, I know. I am saying that out loud. And excuse the altitude, guys. This plane is just not as capable when it comes to situations like this. Take a look at that view, though. But yeah, turns are really simple. We'll do now a 10 degrees turn to a heading of south. Yeah, feel free to ask any questions, though, if you guys have any. I would love to answer. Let me drop this power a little bit here so we stop climbing. But yeah, 10 degrees is very slow. We'll talk about that more here in the future. But we'll level out here at 180 here in a moment. Overshoot south. The compass is behind. And there is just a little bit, but a little over. Whatever. PA 38 Tomahawk is correct. Yes. Alrighty. Following that, we'll do one more turn to a heading of... Let's see where we are in proximity to the field. I wish this had playing out of GPS, but this will have to be the substitute GPS. We'll go to a heading of... let's go to a heading of east. Or 270, excuse me, at 30 degrees for reference. I did, and Billy, I did. Looks really good. Keep in mind, we are trying to relate to all things relevant to the flight stereo cockpit. So that's kind of the point here. If you want to ask any questions about this, but yeah, off-topic questions, we can do some Q&A stuff towards the end for sure. All right, so those are turns. Very simple. Not too much to reference there. Besides, it's looking pretty good. There is also the cruise checklist, which is more practical for cross-country flights, but we can do it. Power set, mixture set, instruments, airspeed's looking good, turn coordinates looking good, attitude's looking good, heading's looking good, altimeter's looking good, vertical speed indicators looking good, tactometer's looking good, VOR's looking good, radio's looking good, transponder's looking good, amps looking good, fuel pressure's looking good, oil temperature's looking good, and oil pressure's looking good, and the compass should also be looking good there. But still very practical for sure. Heading, the compass is set, like I said, and fuel proper tank, it's switching automatically, so we're good. Oh, sorry about the altitude there, but that kind of needed to happen anyways, so. And I'm sorry, guys, I'm not even doing anything. Just take a look at the plane doing this pitch up by itself. It's just very slow to react, which I can't really do anything about, but trust me, the real-life plane's better. Center control for most of your flights while in cruise. You can for VFR, yes. It's optional, though, so... But you're welcome to. You can do it. Yes, 100%. Good question. Okay, so following this, now we're going to do a descent. So we're going to descend down to 3,500 feet on this heading. So you're going to bring throttle back. You could pull it back as far as you want here usually. But I would just go idle. There's different ways to do this. And then you can just descend down to... you could pitch for an airspeed as well. We'll just pitch for 70 in this case. And we'll descend down to a happy altitude of 3,500 feet. And I'll try to add some power in because it's just going to go ballistic, as you guys can see. So let's add in some power. And yeah, that's a descent. Pretty simple. Can't explain it much more. Feel free to ask any questions if you have any. Yeah, this is just a fantasy registration, I believe, Steven. Pretty sure it is. Okay, following that, the next thing we'll do is I will demo some slow flight here, and we'll dive into stalls in the next one. Just because, yeah, we're looking good on time. We might as well demo one. Okay, so here is slow flight. So slow flight is a maneuver to keep the aircraft going slow throughout the air. So the first maneuver you're going to do is clearing turns. So we're going to bank 30 degrees and make sure we're looking good off to our left. And I'm sorry, it's slower than what it would actually be. Center and right, which all looks good. And then we'll turn back over to the right. And obviously you can see it in your peripheral vision what your bank angle is, but just estimating from here. Center and left, all looks good. Okay, so the maneuver goes as follows. Let me find my carb heat on button, but carb heat comes on. I think it's this button, isn't it? Yeah, carb heat on, so you put carb heat on right there. Sorry about the pitch. Plane's losing its mind. Carb heat on, 1900 RPM. Flaps 21. Come down, flaps 34. And what you're going to do is pitch for, it's a 10 knot range in this aircraft. It's 55 to 65 knots, but we'll pitch for about 60 here. And now we're going to have to pitch up. And then as power as needed. So we're going to need power because we're descending and losing airspeed. And the RPM dropped off the carburetor heat, which is common. And this is a slow flight. If you want to see what it looks like from the outside, that's what it looks like from the outside. But just keeping the aircraft slow throughout the air. I'm going to add a little bit more power to gain our altitude back. Try to keep it plus or minus 100 feet. We'll talk about this a little bit more in the next episode. The V1 speed is 53. Good question. We answered that earlier. 53 knots. Best angle of climb is 61. Best rate of climb is 70. And yeah, it's taking quite a bit of power to keep this thing here at 60, but we're doing pretty good. And then we'll make a small turn just for fun. We'll turn to a heading of south, which you want to do no more than 10 degrees for sure, but right there about 7. This is a slow flight. It's one of those maneuvers you just need to be very, it's not near as hard as stalls, but you don't want to be near, or you just want to be very, not precautious, but just very fluid and slow movements, excuse me. All right, let's recover. Full throttle, carb heat off. Or, sorry, that was the wrong button. Carb heat off. Pitch for 61, positive rate. Flaps coming up. I did put them up right there on the button. Then we're going to pitch for 70. We'll talk about this more in the next episode. I'm just demoing it. 70, positive rate, flaps 0. And reconfigure. All right, sweet. I think this is a good time to take it back to the airport from here. It makes logistical sense to me. We are probably about, I don't know the exact number, but I think we're probably somewhere in the ballpark of probably about 10 miles to the northwest. So we're going to report that we're inbound for landing. So it's going to be, you'd contact tower, and it's going to be Stillwater Tower, Tomahawk 255 for Golf, 10 miles to the northwest, inbound. We'll not do any touch and goes on this landing, but here in the future we will. So inbound full stop with numbers. Stillwater Tower comes back and says Stillwater Tower, Tomahawk 255 for Golf. Report midfield right downwind. Yes, midfield right downwind, runway. Or I'm sorry, midfield left downwind, runway 35. I'm sorry, I got that wrong because we're going to fly downwind into 35. And we're going to report back and say report midfield left downwind, runway 35, Tomahawk 255 for Golf. And before that, going into that, you need to do the descent checklist, which I kind of jumped the gun on, so I apologize. But mixture richen is the first item. We're going to richen it a little bit. Carb heat as required. It is off. Fuel proper tank it is. ATIS and AWAS will get. It may not have changed. It has not, so it is the same. And we'll begin the descent here in the process. Altimeter set 3017. Instruments, airspeed's looking good. Turn coordinates looking good. Attitude's looking good. Heading's looking good. Altimeter's looking good. Vertical speed indicators looking good. Tactometers looking good. VORs are looking good. Radios are looking good. Transponders looking good. Gauge looking good. Amps looking good. Fuel pressure's looking good. Oil pressure's looking good. Oil temperature's looking good. And we're looking good from there. And heading to compass, which is set. Yes, cool. So next up is the pre-landing checklist. Feel free to ask any questions if you guys have any. But the pre-landing checklist. Also, I was a little high coming into this, so I apologize. Usually it's a little bit lower for altitude, but here we are, so what can I say? Pre-landing checklist, landing ladder that's on it is. Seatbelt and harness is good. Mixture best power it is. Fuel pump on. This is not like the takeoff, so you can just turn on right now. There we go. And fuel proper tank it is. And flaps as required. And yes, while this wasn't the longest flight today, this is just more so to focus on those details, as you guys can see. Keeping that altitude straight. And again, it's one of those things that it's pretty simple. Or just one of those things that we just got to get the flow going and understand the concept, if you guys understand. So that was kind of the point with today. Alrighty, so what we're doing right here is flying a 45-degree angle into the runway to enter the downwind wake, which we'll talk about that more here in a moment, but pretty much parallel to the runway downwind. So we're descending down to traffic pattern altitude, which is 1,800 feet, so that's currently where we're on our way to. Looking pretty good. Here's the flight that we did today. I know it was kind of simple, but there we go. Worked out for us. This is X-Plane 11, yes. X-Plane 12 to come soon, and hopefully Microsoft Flight Simulator, because that seems very wanted. Alrighty, descending at a pretty good rate here. Also, I do want to say this is a simulator, so if I landed a little bit hard, these aircraft are a little bit harder to land here. I apologize. Feel that wind pushing us. Welcome back, Aviation LAS. But we're almost to our traffic pattern altitude of 1,800 feet. Yeah, flight following, great question. So flight following is pretty much a service where you can literally get people to follow your flight to make sure that everything is all well, and they can help you with reporting traffic and weather and whatnot. So flight following is a really good service. Happy to answer any particular questions that you have about it, but it is a really good service and very helpful if you need to reference any items and get applicable help if needed. Good question. I came in a little tight. I kind of apologize about this. This is where I'd like to level out, but I kind of came in a little tight, so I'll level it out right here, but keep in mind you'd fly to midfield and then level it out. Runway 35 for this landing. So here, once we get to midfield, it's going to be Stillwater Tower, Tomahawk 255 for Golf, midfield left downwind, runway 35 once we get there. I tightened that up a little bit, so. But you want to keep the wing kind of a third here on this Tomahawk, but different aircraft are different, of course, so keep that in mind. But downwind wags over here about, I think this is approximately like half a mile out from the runway. Could be wrong on that, but somewhere in that ballpark, so. And we had to beat the sun anyways, even though it hasn't quite set it over here yet. I feel like the simulator's going a little fast on it, but could be dreaming on that. Okay, sorry I've lost a little bit of altitude, but here's the midfield left downwind. So, Stillwater Tower, Tomahawk 255 for Golf, midfield left downwind, runway 35. And they would come back and say, Tomahawk 255 for Golf, Stillwater Tower, excuse me, clear to land, runway 35. Clear to land, runway 35, Tomahawk 255 for Golf. And once we get the clearance, carbine on, 1900 RPM. And I'll show you guys where we put in the flaps and everything, but this is the initial step. And now it's going to be starting to play a game with referencing the runway. So waiting for that 45-degree angle is going to be the magic number there. Little wide now. I got a little wide off that wind, so appreciate that. We're almost 45, and 45 is going to be approximately right here. Not the best view, but decent. 30-degree bank to line us up for a heading of east, and this is where we'll put in the flaps once we roll out here. Flaps 21, flaps 34. Looking pretty good, actually. A little slow here. We'll put in some power back. Different RPM settings for different wind conditions for sure. 1900 is kind of baseline in this aircraft. A little slow, so we're going to put some power in here. And I don't know what X-Plane's going to do here, honestly, so I'm going to turn the final right now, and hopefully it doesn't overshoot us too bad or undershoot us. I think it probably will overshoot us if I had to guess, but let's see what it does. And we can adjust. It happens. Okay, that wasn't too bad. That was pretty decent. And from here, airspeed, pitch for airspeed, power for altitude type deal. We're looking good on altitude. We're decent on speed. We're a little slow, so we might try to get a little bit of pitch, but obviously we can't pitch up anymore, or down anymore, excuse me, because we're level here. Might be a little bit of a wind, it feels like. So I apologize about that in advance. It's hard to do the maneuver landing with the yoke that I currently have. I'm trying to get the crosswind correction in, but it involves the rudder and the ailerons, which is pretty tough. So avoid the bad miscorrection here, but here's our landing on the runway 35. There we go. That feels a little bit better. Power idle. I was way off on that. I apologize. Not too bad. That'll work. I need to actually yoke. And then once you land, they're going to say, putting the flaps and carburetor heat off. And then they're going to say, Tomahawk 255 for Golf. Taxi to parking via Charlie Alpha Alpha 4 cross 422, and then we'll report back. Taxi to parking via Charlie Alpha Alpha 4 cross 422, and then if you want to get your SIA in, get your SIA in, and that would be that. So we'll taxi up to the next taxiway, and we'll get the after lane checklist here in a moment too. Sorry about the bad maneuver there. Sorry about the crosswind correction. I should have thought about that with this yoke, but pretty much you put the opposite aileron and rudder in to get the crosswind correction. So we can watch the replay of that here in a moment as well. Don't let me forget, we can watch that. Here's Delta, which will work. I said Charlie. That would be what this is, current day Charlie, pretty much. Brake would be more subtle than that, but there we go. And upon crossing the hold short marker, we'll do our after lane checklist. I do want to see the sunset, though, because that looks really clean. There we go. Nice. After landing checklist. Flaps up. They are. I got them up. Fuel pump off. Scrubs off. They'll stay on. Landing light off. It'll stay on. Taxi light as required to stay on. PO heat's already off. Trim takeoff. Definitely. And transponder standby. After lane checklist is complete and airport diagram, if you guys want to see our taxiing route, we're going to take Charlie technically, or Delta, whichever one you want to call it, but I guess Delta, Alpha, out, and then onto Alpha 4 cross 422. And we'll park where we're supposed to. Taxiway Alpha is clear. We've obviously been cleared. And monitor ground to make sure that you're not going to hit anybody, of course. So we'll switch over to 121.6. Slightly different with the angle here compared to present day stuff. And yeah, still safety first. I know it's the end of the flight, but make sure you're on the center line. You can see landing lights. You got your landing light on. All those fun items. Here's 422 that we've been cleared to cross, and obviously there's no planes on it. I got a little fast, so that was my fault. I can sincerely apologize about that. But we're good. Cross 422. Taxiway Echo is clear as well, as we can see. And that puts us on to Delta, which from there I think our ramp would technically be, I can't really see it that well, but I think it's right here. Yeah, well, I'm sorry, guys. That was completely my fault. I should have did a little bit better of a job. There it is. That's ours with the light pole. So we'll go taxiway. We'll go to light pole. That was my fault. There's the sunset. Sorry that I shouldn't have got distracted on that. But we're good. Pink cockpit's pretty pretty. Even though the sun hasn't set here, we still have like 30 minutes, but you know what? It's good enough. And then we're going to park this aircraft. Normally, that would be a much tighter situation and something to be more aware about, but I can't really use it for visual reference very well. I shouldn't really do it like that, but big turn right here, and we'll park it in this way. Make sure that you miss that light pole. I'm going to have to use that for a thumbnail. That's really pretty. And from here, we're doing the securing checklist. So let's do the securing checklist. Here we go. Securing checklist. ELT verify silent. This is 121.5. And we'll talk about more about ELT here in the future. Avionics off. They're already off when we turn this thing off. Mixture full lean. And that kills your engine. Mags off. Master off. Lights off. Hobbs tack time. So you'd write down what we have. So now we're up to 15:33. I guess it actually does Hobbs tack in this, which is pretty cool. And 15.4. So that was a 1.0 hour flight. We'd put that in the binder. Not bad right there. Pretty good. Secure yoke. So you looped your seatbelt around that. I can't really show it very well right here, but I'll be sure to pull that up in the future. Somebody don't let me forget to do that. And chocks, you put chocks on, tie down, all that fun stuff, cabin door, and closed flight plan. We don't have one, and yeah, we can get out from here. And just imagine all the items coming onto this, but yeah. And that is the flight. So then you deplane from here, get the chocks put on, tie downs, all those fun items. Make sure the plane's all good. You may want to open the engine to let the oil dipstick cool a little bit. Those are all items as well, all those fun items. So that's what you would do from here. And yeah, since we want to look at the landing, we'll do the debrief, of course, but we can take a look at the landing here. Stand by. Sorry, it's been a while since I've done this. There we go. Just for fun, we can look at the landing. So, sorry about the crosswind correction. That was completely my fault. I was trying to work on that. But pretty much you want aileron. There was comms, so that's why I kind of left it out. But it wasn't the worst thing in the world. But once we got it fixed a little bit, it was pretty good. So, probably wasn't my best landing in the world, but not too bad. A little off the center line, but I couldn't figure out where the wind was from. So, pretty acceptable, I would say. And yeah, that is the full flight itself from there. From here, we do the debrief. So, let's get into the debrief. So, you come into the debrief room, say welcome back, all that fun stuff. And then usually you get asked how you thought about the flight. So, I thought the flight was pretty good. Pretty simple stuff, but really enjoyed it. So, that was very nice. Welcome Aviation VPS and everybody here. Hope you guys are doing well. So, kind of through here to kind of talk about the debrief. So, let's talk about the full flight. So, of course, we can kind of go back through our items here. But the planning went well. We got all the planning done, so I was happy about that. We talked about everything that we were going to do with the plan of action and everything, so that was really well. Really good detail on weather, I'm safe, and NOTAM, so I thought that went really well. We got a bunch of good detail there, so I was really pleased about that. In fact, we can go over here for this. Very nice, Jordan. Very nice. Jordan, excuse me. And then from there, the pre-flight, I thought we did a really good job assessing that as well. Of course, you talk about particular details and that sort of thing. But, of course, you're a little fatigued after, so it happens. But talk about the particular details and anything that stands out. But I thought the pre-flight was really well. We talked about some very applicable detail and what really matters. So I was really happy about that. And then from there, the preparation went really well. And then the actual flight itself I thought was really good. So, of course, we started up the engine. No problems there. Couldn't find the avionics. That would be like the big one that the flight instructor would point out. But, of course, it's a simulator, so it's one of those deals. From there, we taxied out. There was no really big things there. We just went over some detail about the ground and everything, location signs, that sort of thing. Held short, went through the takeoff briefing, everything. That worked really well. Run-up checklist was pretty normal, like I said. Trying to think if there's any other major details that I was missing. Yeah, that was really good from there. I went over to takeoff thoroughly, and then we took off. Went well. Turned out to the northeast. There was no major difference there. I was having a little problem with the trim, but that was kind of to be expected. Then we did some basic maneuvers, climbs, descents, grade level flight, turns. And then we demoed slow flight. Thought all those went really well. Pretty simple maneuvers. All worked pretty well with that. So I was pleased with that effort. That was really good. Trying to think if there's anything particular. Yeah, just getting the plane to level. But I'll try to look into that in my spare time. So thanks for understanding on that, y'all. Yeah, thanks for ATC. That was fun. So that was good. And then, of course, we came back in the Stillwater. Trying to think if there's anything major there. Landing crosswind correction. But, of course, the debriefs would be a little bit more thorough than this. Just trying to think if there's any other applicable information I want to add to this debrief. But, of course, they would be pretty simple from there. So, trying to think if there's any other major details. Crosswind correction. Landing was pretty good. A little off to the left of center line, but all was pretty good there. Yeah, it was really good. And then we, of course, secured the plane. A little fast on the taxiing, but that happens and all that fun stuff. So those are kind of the highlight details, but normally you'd go a little bit more in detail on that, especially if you did something wrong or need improvement somewhere. So that's kind of the big one. And yeah, that's kind of debrief. So that worked really well and was very pleased with that. And yeah, flight was good. Hope you guys enjoyed it as well. Feel free to leave in the chat what you guys thought about it, if anything stood out to you guys about the debrief or anything that came up or that sort of thing. So yeah, talking about next time. Probably a stream, probably sometime next week. I'm thinking I might get a night sometime this week. I could, but probably next week, Tuesday or Wednesday evening. We'll probably start around this time, next time around. And we'll get started with our next items. So next time around, we'll do stalls, probably some steep turns, possibly some of the emergency procedures, but definitely stalls and steep turns, and talk a little bit more about takeoff detail, a little bit about landings. And talk a little bit more. We'll probably have a ground lesson too, a mini ground lesson. Probably go over some of the pretty basic stuff. I'm trying to think of anything particular that we need to go over, but mini little ground lesson, probably about aerodynamics and things along those lines. Aerodynamics, maybe a touch of systems, surface controls, little bit airport of stuff, airport operations. Kind of some of those applicable details. Nothing too crazy, but definitely we'll do a little ground like we did today. That'll kind of take the place of what we did with weathers, NOTAMs, I'm safe, all that fun stuff. And yeah, so again, next week sometime, probably in the evening. So yeah, all went pretty well. Again, the debrief would normally be a little bit more elaborate than that, but just to make it pretty simple today, I thought I would do it like that. So yeah, pretty good stuff. Thought it was a good flight. Thought we did really good, especially on getting some of that very first stuff like the weathers, NOTAMs, I'm safe, and the pre-flight done. Thought that went really well, and the flight will be a little bit more elaborate to go forward, and I hope to get a little bit better simulator equipment too, possibly a yoke and all that fun stuff. So anybody have any thoughts on the flight? Go right ahead. What's your guys' debrief? What would you guys like to know about the debrief, how it works or anything like that? Feel free to ask. I would love to answer. And yeah, and then of course you kind of walk out, go along with your day, and think about it and anything else. Of course you do logbooks as well. I have a digital and a physical logbook, so I'll kind of cover up some sensitive information, but I'll show you guys kind of what an entry of one looks like. If I can find a good one, which I hopefully can. I'm trying to think of the best way to do this. That should be... still a little bit covering. Showed up. I'm sorry. That's pretty good. That's kind of what a log of a flight looks like. Sorry, that's a little fuzzy, but you can kind of see what I'm doing there. So, yeah. Any questions, thoughts on the debrief? Talking about scheduling, usually it's a little bit more elaborate because of getting both the mutual schedules going and all that, which that's kind of how it happens. But unless you're on a recurring schedule, then there you go. But usually if it's hit or miss, then that's where it could be really good or really bad. So technically, I wish I could log that flight, but I really can't. So, but it was a 1.0, so you'd put 1.0 in the logbook from the Hobbs. And yeah. But any questions, thoughts, feedback, suggestions, all that sort of thing. If not, I hope you guys enjoyed. I am happy to answer any additional questions that may be had. I know you guys had a couple or talking about some different things. So once again, prayers to everybody in the Hurricane Ida path. Very sad stuff. Praying for you guys. Very sorry indeed. And I'll be thinking about you guys. But yeah, we might try some different stream stuff. I don't know if we what the retention was. I thought it would be a little bit better in terms of participation for this. So we might try instead to do something a little bit more related to possibly some model airplane stuff or real life aviation or something along those lines, just to try something else. So if you guys want to do something else, we most certainly can, or just a Q&A. It seems like people just like to talk. So we might try that, but let me know what you guys like to see. And yeah, so any questions? I know this is a pretty long stream, so if you're here for the whole thing, I really appreciate it. Yes, I do have a cat. It was in the previous stream. Her name is Super. Really good cat for the Super 80, of course. Got her for free and wanted her to go to a home. So really glad to have her here. She's a great cat and she looks really good. Also, I think my webcam's looking pretty good. I don't know if I can edit it on the fly, but I would like to... Yeah, the cat's really good. I agree. I can work on the color correction a little bit, but I thought the color correction was looking pretty good. So let me see if I can work on this a little bit live here. Okay, so what we need to do, it seems like it's still a little tinted. So can I help that out a little bit? That's contrast, and I feel like 20 where it was pretty good. Brightness, no, it doesn't need to be any brighter, I believe. Saturation. Just trying to get the green tint off a little bit, if you guys will. Hue shift. I'm going to work on the hue shift a little bit more. That's way too much. That kind of looked better than the 5. This is where it was. But it seems like the tint's still a little green. So I was trying to work on that. Whoa. Kind of does look better a little bit brighter, I would say. I kind of like it right there. That looks pretty good. I'll leave it right there for now. We'll keep adjusting and messing with it, but I'm still liking that. Okay, since you're playing parks at SWO, have you seen the American E-145 Dallas service? Yes, multiple times. So normally 1.7 because we have so many south wind days, but I have seen it land on 3.5 as well, and that's been pretty cool. I even think I got to see it take off on 2.2 once, which was really cool because of a runway closer, so that was pretty sweet. Yeah, we can definitely do some talks about that. That's ground material, so we can definitely talk about that for sure. It's a little boring, but we definitely need to talk about it, so expect that to come too, for sure. Feel free to ask any other questions if you guys have them. But again, I really hope you guys enjoyed the stream. I don't know if we'll bounce around topics just to see if there's anything else that we want to try, because while flight simulators are fun and everything, I think people really prefer the commercial stuff, and unfortunately I'm not quite suitable to be able to teach that. But we might try another one. Maybe it's just timing today or bad. I know it is a Wednesday and everything. People might have church and whatnot. So, and people are busy. It's a really busy time of the year, so it's completely understandable in my opinion. And I'm definitely here to work with you guys. So let me know what you guys think and want to see. But yeah, feel free to ask any final additional questions. But that is pretty much today's stream. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll be back next week for something again. We might try some different topics, but we might be on Flight Simulator. I don't know. It really just depends. I might probably do some poll questions and whatnot. I thought, like I said, I thought it would be more people would be interested, but again, it could have been a bad time or anything. So, but it might be, this might not be the best way to do it. I thought this would be a good format. It might not be the best way to convey our thoughts. So I'll see what the rest of the audience wants, and we'll talk about that as well. So feel free to let me know what you guys think, what kind of live streams you guys like to see. But I have different ideas and everything, and the internet's way too good not to be able to do it or something like that. So we might do some like live release reactions or something like that too. That would be cool. So I could do something like that, or trying to think if there's anything else I can do live off the top of my head. But air crash investigations, reactions, aviation news, talks, model airplane stuff, because obviously that's more what my channel is orientated around, so maybe it's just best for me to stay in those lands. So we'll see, but I'll let you know. Aviation LAS has been pretty busy, but I'll be sure to let you know if I do have any openings for sure. Do you think NG models will do the New Illinois one first? Absolutely, yes. Probably expecting the next like future release or whatever. Yes. But yeah, feel free to ask any additional questions. Loving the questions. Anything aviation related or whatever you guys like to talk about. That's applicable, of course, and appropriate. Sorry, just making sure I wasn't missing anything. Yeah, for sure. Any questions? If not, of course, thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Excited for next stream. Again, not exactly sure what we'll do, but we'll see what happens, and I'm excited for it regardless. The webcam looks good, setup's looking good, and I'm excited to get the ball rolling. We'll probably do it again, like at 7 p.m. or something. And, yeah, feel free to ask any questions if you guys have any, but... yeah, really enjoyed this. It was a bunch of fun, and we'll do something. Maybe we'll just do some flight simulator stuff that's more like general, and I'll do my best to fill the gaps where I can. But still a good stream today, no matter what. Definitely beneficial, and I really enjoyed it, and I hope you guys did too. If there's, or here we go. I will definitely watch the latest update, yes. Any additional questions? And again, really appreciate everybody watching today. Bunch of fun. Again, not exactly sure what we'll do next time, but we'll see. Next fan mail will be October 5, I think it's the Monday. Sorry that I didn't get one for September. I got tied up, but the October one will be worth it. Plus, most of it's digital and everything, so just thought we'd take a little intermission there to let some more mail come in. But yeah, probably October 5. For sure, Aviation LAS, excuse me, for sure. We'll be doing that. But yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions. I know there's quite a few, so happy to answer. Let me move this over here so I can keep in the center here so you guys can see me a little bit better. I think my webcam might have been off the whole day, so I apologize if it was a little uncentered. Yeah, it was a little uncentered a little bit. Sorry. Fan mail is coming out on Monday in October, which is fan mail. Which day is fan mail getting recorded? I'm not sure. I don't have the answer to that. It's just kind of I just worked down the list of what videos I have, so probably a couple days before. Fan mail live, definitely for sure. What's going on, Brandon? Aviation HD. Hope you're doing well. But yeah, any additional questions that you guys may have? Content recommendations, thoughts on today's stream, or anything else, feel free to go ahead. Would love to adjust and keep adapting to what you guys want to see. But nearly a 3-hour stream today was quite great. But we did really good on the details. Please detail, especially kind of the initial stuff that one really needs to go into detail about flight training. That was a really good introduction, I would say. Yeah, probably no Psycho Av Geek. I appreciate the suggestion, though. There's some good videos for y'all to watch. If interested, of course. Okay, October 3rd, if that's the first Monday, yeah, October 3rd then. Maybe it was September 5 was this last Monday. That's why I got confused on, yeah. Well, happy birthday. There's your fan mail birthday episode. There you go. There's your content for that day. Kind of like fans content now. I probably should just rename it, but we'll call it fan mail. Yeah, happy early birthday to you. Any additional thoughts, questions, feedback, anything you guys want to talk about? What do you guys want to see with the live streams? I think the live stream's really good. The internet's held up well. The webcam's pretty good. So I think it's pretty good, but let me know what you guys think. Very nice, very nice. Yeah, feel free to ask any final questions. We might just do Q&A streams too. I know that's really applicable, so... Absolutely, Aviation LAS. Or brings... I also, like I talked about in the first stream, we could also use that StreamYard's online software, and that we could bring people in here to just chat. That's another very applicable content form, 100%. Cat slept the whole damn stream. She must have been tired. My goodness. Wow. But yeah, feel free to ask if there's any final thoughts, feedback, suggestions, anything like that. If not, I really hope you guys have a fantastic day, but just hanging around for any of those final questions or anything. Little content update. Yeah, let's go into that. Let me get my calendar. That's probably a good thing to talk about in this little intermission here. So, for the rest of September, we have a couple videos to finish this out here. We'll have a new model. I about leaked it for you guys, but new model unboxing tomorrow. So expect that. Orange County Friday, expect that. And Great Plains on Saturday. For September, we will have an October update. Just got pushed back because of some of the live stream mainly. So expect those two. And then, yeah, so next Monday will be your guys' fan mail episode, and we'll have a release reaction on Sunday for you guys. Intro vlog to the Airliners International flight content will be coming at Tulsa International Airport next Tuesday. And then we'll have a retro model review next Wednesday probably, or some sort of content. Also the stream as well, don't forget about that. We'll stream one of those days. Maybe Thursday. I don't have a single video lined up for Thursday, so we might just stream. We'll see. Yeah, I would love to buy a full flight simulator setup. We'll see. It's really expensive, but something I'm interested in. Completely understand aviation LAS. Excited for it in Billy. Very nice. Love SBA. Yeah, A319 is just a little bit bigger. Possibly just what they had lying around for aircraft or something like that. So, channel updates. Trying to think of other things. Live streams really coming back. It's been the big one as of late. Have a couple of particular one-off video ideas, so you can expect those. One involves a model retailer, so that'll be fun. Another involves a really cool Gemini Jets topic. I think you guys will enjoy that. Trying to think of other particular content things that are going on. A day in the life will definitely be coming soon. Just waiting to get a little bit more in the flow, if you will. Or not adventure. I'm sorry. I've been to California, but I've not been to California adventure. No, I'm not. I'm trying to think. We'll have the United 737-900 coming up this month, which will be good. October should be a really good month. Expect daily videos. Don't anticipate that changing. If you guys have any video recommendations, I'm happy to take those. But yeah, we just fully concluded the Breeze Nashville inaugural trip, so definitely feel free to check that out. Thank you, Abe345. Really appreciate your support. Glad to be here, and I'm glad we have a proper setup nowadays to do this. And it's fun to get to interact with you guys. I really enjoy it. So, and the webcam, everything just makes it so much more motivating. So, 100%. Emirates 777 in the future? Yeah, I definitely don't think it's out of the question. I just don't think they like the licensing. The Gemini model recently was pretty good, so that's what I would expect. But yeah, next live stream, though, I don't know if we'll keep doing flight simulator stuff, but at the very least, we can do something. So expect something at the very least. Definitely we get the United 753. Probably not the Delta. Definitely the United, though. Yes. Might just do model talk. I mean, that's what you guys love to talk about. So might just be what we choose to do. And I have no problem with that. Just the reality. Bouncing around the flight simulator may not be as applicable compared to talking about models. Which is all good. I want to do what you guys want to see. That's why we're here. Trying to think of other content. Here, I have some stuff wrote down over here on other sticky notes. Let me see. Not those, but I think they're on these. Quizzes. Yeah, I like that quizzes idea. Cahoots, yeah. Or just reactions in general, different things like that. There's some really good content ideas that I had. I did see that Southwest Max 8. It looks really good. I'm excited for it. I also have an older Delta 753. Yeah, reaction stuff. It seems like that's a really hot topic. So maybe we'll react to an aircraft investigation next week or something. Something like that. I would enjoy that. So maybe we'll do that. Minecraft about aviation? Possibly. Seems like more people are interested in, like simulators and whatnot. So that's kind of where we stand on that. That cat's sure getting some good sleep. She's going to be rowdy tonight. Yeah, I did see a 787 on Tulsa's board. That's pretty sweet. Glad to see it. Love to see it, excuse me, if that's a little more applicable. Love to see it. Any additional thoughts, feedback, questions, content suggestions? I'm here. This is a good time to ask if you guys want to talk about it. Always happy to adjust and try new things and keep learning all those items. I'm not perfect, so love to keep adjusting. Let me know what you guys think about the setup or anything. Feel free. Hopefully the microphone was good. I put it off to the side. It was like right here, so. But I think it works pretty well. Any final questions, thoughts, feedback? And also feel free to check out some of the recent videos as well. Kind of pulled them up for you guys because there's been some really good ones that I don't want you guys to miss out on because they've been awesome. Including, but not limited to, the following. That includes, let me get rid of the checklist for now so you guys can see a little bit better. The American Airlines maintenance facility video and the tour were really good. Highly recommend checking out those two. Finishing up the Breeze Day check, feel free to check that out. Retro Dallas update was really fun. A couple more airport updates to come. Sorry, it's been a week intermission. That was not intentional. This retro massive unboxing was really cool. 2 new massive unboxings should be coming really soon, so expect those as well. We'll do a modern one first, and then another retro unboxing will be coming, so expect that. This Airliners vlog was really good. This Dallas update was really good. All these release reactions, too. There's been several, so feel free to check those out. Hey, North Texas Spotter. How's it going, buddy? On October 11, Airlines videos are going to DFW. Are getting good DFW. Meet Kevin, host of Airlines videos, and you're going to watch the latest stream. I would really like to. I don't think I'll have a chance to, but that would be really cool for sure. How do you tune to the ATC frequencies with that radio? Which radio are you referencing? Are you talking about the scanner that I have, or are you talking about on Instagram that I showed? That's a really complicated topic. I wasn't the one that did. Actually, one of my spotting friends did. I can allude you to him if you're curious. I think you just put in the numbers and put it on like bank, but I would look up a YouTube tutorial for your radio. I think that's what you need to do. Of course, man. Happy early birthday, and I'm excited to see you get some great items for your birthday and celebrate it. I don't know how old you are, but I'm sure it's a big number, so congratulations on that. But plenty of great videos. I highly recommend checking these out. I do work really hard on them to produce, so I would appreciate all the support, but you guys have done great, so can't complain. Are we almost to 800,000 channel views, I think? Oh, whoa, we're almost to 900. That was my fault. I forgot that it was 900 now. But check out these channels as well. These are really good channels. Definitely check those out. They're all really good guys. But really good videos right here. I'd recommend checking them out. I can't remember the last time we missed a day on uploading. Let's see when that was. Oh, I think it was when I got my private pilot's license. That would have been like right. I think it was around here. I think it was like right here. It was the last time we had a gap. The radio's mine, yes. Awesome, Dreamliner fan 2016. Enjoy it, man. That'll be awesome. But yeah, feel free if you ask if you guys have any final thoughts, questions, feedback, anything like that. Prayers for everybody in Hurricane Island. That's so sad. Praying for you guys. And yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed the stream, though. I think we did really good. We might be back for something different next week. We might try air crash investigation reaction or something like that. I'm not completely sure yet, but we'll see. Or possibly model talk or something like that. So feel free to let me know what you guys think. But yeah, any final questions? One final round for questions, and then we will call it a day. Glad you guys have enjoyed the videos, though, hopefully so. Let me know if I can do any better. Always happy to improve. Of course. Have you ever been to Oregon or Washington? No, I have not. The Northwest is my bad sector, and I really hope to get up to Seattle's, I think, the first one on my list as soon as possible. That is on my to-do list. As soon as I possibly can. Sounds like a plan, North Texas Spotter. I don't even think we lagged out that bad on today's stream, which is pretty sweet, so happy about that. Yeah, for sure. Oh yeah, spotting vlogs. I really hope to get those back going soon. Also, I do have a new iPhone. Expect the unboxing video to come soon. 14 Pro Max. So really pleased with it. It's a really good phone. Really happy with it. And the recording's been really good so far. I'm still experimenting with it a little bit, but expect that to come in upcoming videos. That'll be really helpful. Yeah, Seattle's really nice. Yes. So definitely a lot of really cool stuff on the way. So don't miss it. You guys don't want to miss it. I need to write that iPhone video down, or I'm gonna forget. So yeah, some one-offs, some different videos, but some fun ones. It's going to be a good fall. We're already to October. We will have some really fun videos coming up for Black Friday and stuff too, and the holiday season, so expect it to come too. You too, North Alonzo. Take it easy, my guy. Any final questions? This is going to be the final time I ask because I am hungry. I'm ready for dinner, and I know you guys probably got busy days to do items on too. So, any final questions? I really enjoyed the stream. I thought we did really well. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to share with your friends the channel. We're almost to 5,000 subscribers, which is so cool. So can't thank you guys enough for the support. I love this community. I love the passion. I love the drive. I'm so glad to be here, and it's an absolute blast every single time. I wouldn't spend 3 hours streaming if I didn't enjoy it. I'll tell you that. If not, thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and excited for what's to come. Feel free to share the channel. And yeah, I'll let it go here for about another minute if there's any major questions. But really appreciate all you guys watching. Thank you guys so much, and I'm excited to see you guys next time. Tomorrow we'll be back for a special model unboxing, so expect that. 2 airport updates this weekend to round it out, and that will take us into October with fan mail, release reaction, start of the airliners content, and everything else next month. That's an understatement. EUG Aviation. That is an incredible statement. Love to see it, to say the least. I need to make more posts about it, but it's awesome. It's really good. Let me just show a little bit of this American Airlines maintenance facility tour. I mean, this video is just so awesome. What? I did not mean for that to play out on my speakers, but if you have not seen this video, highly recommend checking out this video because this video is really, really good. This is we can record, we can react to my own videos. I don't care. Might as well. Aviation is amazing. It is an understatement. It is the most passionate, caring, best community out there, and it is absolutely awesome. Let me just go to one of these aircraft because, man, let me just go to this outside view of the 737 right here. This is impressive. Yeah, that right there. That's what I wanted to show. That's an impressive frame right there. But yeah, feel free to ask any final questions, but really hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys so much for watching. You can always DM me at any time if you guys have any additional questions. And there's a picture of Antonov 124 to finish your guys' day. So love to see it. It's a really cool plane. I'll just move my webcam off here so you guys can see it a little bit. Really cool plane. Really glad to get to see it. And yeah, so feel free to message if you guys have any questions. But thank you guys so much for watching today's live stream. Really hope you guys enjoyed today's live stream. My name is Redriveraviation. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Take it easy, everybody. Stay safe. Trust the process. Do you love and love what you do? My name is Redriveraviation. I want to thank you guys.